We're waiting for more people to join. So we'll be beginning the webinar by 10:05. And after the presentation, we'll be taking the questions. So in the meanwhile, just an announcement, I'll be posting the Telegram group link for Stripe where we will be posting important future announcements. So please do join that Telegram link. Yes, Rahul will be having the recordings for this session. So everyone, I have posted the Telegram link in the chat. Please click on that and join that handle. Where we'll be posting the further future announcements related to webinars and new features of Stripe. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Today in this webinar, we'll see how the rollover trends are, and we have a different screen that is early positioning. So many of the people might not be well versed with this particular screen. So I'll be explaining you the screen, and basically you'll try and you'll be able to figure out like which are the stocks where extreme positioning is happening, or which are the places where people are sort of taking out their position and liquidating their positions. So in that sense, this screen can be a great help for you. And especially like I usually like to look at things positionally. So that is what I will try and explain you today. Many of you all can understand what is the larger trend that is going on in those stocks, and if your time horizon is say from 1 day to 5 day or something like that, then I will also give you the technique how you can actually use this screen to identify which are the medium term reversals or medium term trends that are going to pick up. And then what you can do is that you can try and time on the lower time frame to you can try and time the entry and exit based on the lower time frames, which is what you are comfortable with. So I will share my screen. So yeah, so we have this early positioning screen. To come to the screen, basically you'll have to go and I mean hover around the second button over here, go to futures section, and then over there go to rollover. And once you come in the rollover screen, here you have to come to the early positioning. Okay. Now, I'll explain you, what is early positioning and what are we looking at in the screen. So basically over here, what we try to do is that we capture the open interest at the start of new expiry. Okay. Which means that now the April expiry is starting, right? So what is the starting open interest of the new expiry? That is what we capture. And from there we basically get to know which are the stocks where the extreme positioning is happening based on the historical data that we have provided in the table. Okay, so in this historical data, you will see in a tabular format for 12 months. But if you I mean if you click over here and when you look at the chart, okay, so you will have a data till 2012. So let me take a stock where we have more historical data. So yes, if you see a stock like Infi, here we have the data till 2012. Okay. Now the way the way we have built this chart is basically this is expiry to expiry chart. Okay. So if you're seeing this minus 10%, so that is this decline that we are showing. So it is basically this point. Okay. And at the bottom, what you see is rollover. Okay. That I mean rollover meaning the starting open interest at the new expiry. Okay. So yes, see, so the way this webinar will work is that I will post I'll give the presentation. So it will take somewhere around 1 hour or so. And after that, we can take the Q&A from everyone. Okay. So I'll try to explain you very briefly. Maybe at the end of the webinar, at the end of the presentation, most of your queries might be resolved as well. But yes, if there are any further queries that you'll have after the presentation, I'll be happy to clarify it. So like I said, over here in the tabular format, you will have 12 months of starting open interest for the new expiry. So over here in month on month OI change, what we do is that we compare what is the OI change when compared with the previous month. Okay. And over here, what you see is basically the opening price for the March expiry and for the April expiry. Okay. And what is the month on month price change that we have. So basically, early positioning, ever since I started tracking it from say 2017, 18 or so, I have found the screen very helpful because I know that many of the people, they do look at this data, which is basically, what is the rollover percentage, what is 3-month average, 6-month average, and so on. But, this entire thing is basically in the percentage terms. Okay. But over here, what we have is the actual open interest at the start of new expiry. So I don't know. I have found this analysis very helpful, and the screen which we have built over here, this will actually help you to screen the stocks much more quickly. Okay. So let me start with how you can use the screen. So basically, see what happens is that at the end of the expiry, many of the stocks, you will see people are carrying forward their position, and many of the positions will be squared off, right? So this you will be able to know through the month on month OI change. Okay. So if the open interest month on month is increasing, that means people are carrying forward their position, okay, in that particular direction. Now there can be two things that can happen. So just to give you a brief, we had done a detailed webinar on OI interpretation. like you can go over here in the learn section, which is the third icon over here. You can hover over there, you can go to webinar, and you can go and check out this webinar as well. So I will give you a small gist of this so that it makes sense for you all as to what I'm speaking in this webinar. But a detailed version of that is basically in this webinar, which is a unique way of identifying medium-term trends, trend reversal with the help of open interest. Okay. So see, when we look at this screen is nothing but very similar to what is there in the OI interpretation. Okay. But in OI interpretation, basically what we do is that we do we look at the day on day change, right? But in the early positioning, you end up looking at month on month data only. Okay. So this sort of helps you to cut the noise that we see in the daily OI analysis, okay, or the daily OI interpretation that we have, where we capture day on day change. So over here, you may see a lot of zigzagging and so on, which happens during the month. But when we look at the rollover screen, so this will sort of help you to cut across all the noise when you look at the chart. Okay, so basically what you see is month on month price change, and then how the rollover is shaping up. Okay, so now this is the first thing, right? Now I told you that there is some basic knowledge that you need to have about this, and this like I told you, we had captured very briefly in the earlier webinar, which was this unique way to find the medium term trend. But like I told you, I'll give you a small gist. So basically, see, in a stock, we typically go through these phases, okay, where, phase one, I mean, you take it in either way, but this is how the cycle happens. Basically, from long build up, we see long unwinding. From long unwinding, we see short build up, and from short build up, we see short covering. Okay, and from short covering, we again go back to long build up. So this is how the cycle works. So whenever, say for example, a medium term reversal or a big medium term trend is likely to occur. So what will happen is that at the top, what you will see the stock price. Okay. So a stock price is going up, going up. Okay. So if this is how the stock price is going to behave, typically at the bottom, this we can say is nothing but stock price. Okay, what you see over here is the OI. And the way it plays out is that initially people will be interested in this stock, okay, but there will be a point where people will give up their position, okay, and you will see them unwinding. So this is the cycle through which it goes through. So basically in this phase, we have people who have been long and they have been carrying forward their position. But before forming a major peak, mostly you will see people cashing out. And that is where that will be a clue for you that the strong hands are cashing out. And followed by the next couple of highs, or it can be some more uptrend that you will see, but that will be based on very low open interest, and that will sort of give you a clue that people are now not very much interested in this stock, and that's why they are cashing out. Now what happens is that in a bull market, okay, we always tend to go to one extreme, right? So that's where fundamentally what will happen is that you will find stock which is overvalued probably around this point, and then when the growth starts to moderate, so that's where people realize that they are paying a heavy money for this, and they and once the company start posting a bad result or the fundamentals change for that company, that's when it starts declining. And actually you go through this phase where there is a long built up over here, okay, then in this phase, basically you see long unwinding that happens. Okay. And at the top, you will see that many of the times people would have cashed out and the open interest will be at the very lowest point. Okay. And from the low open interest, when the trend starts to pick up, that's where people start building their positions on short side, which would mean short built up. Okay. And once they go to that extreme, so that's where people realize that now there is some value in the company, and that's where they again start unwinding their short position, and that leads to the rally. And this basically the cycle which I showed to you, this sort of keeps on happening. So there is long built up, long unwinding, short built up, short covering, and then again this cycle goes on and on. Okay. So this is the broader gist this is the broader thesis with which we'll be looking at the screen. Okay. And keeping this entire thesis into mind, we will analyze how to look at the stocks, and which, and how to figure out whether people are interested in this stock or they are cashing out. And if they are interested in this stock, okay, then is the stock reaching to the extreme, or is it like a trend that is going to pick up? Because see, what happens is that when the open interest, so imagine that this is the open interest. Okay. So if the open interest reaches the highest point, okay, usually what happens is that beyond a point, open interest does not rise higher. Okay. That is because we eventually have those limit in the stocks and so on, right? I mean, that's where, stock gets into ban and so on, right? So what happens is that beyond a point, open interest cannot rise higher, which means that the existing trend which has happened, okay, say this entire open interest was was increasing due to price going down, then basically this is a short built up that has happened in the stock, right? And typically what happens is that once it reaches an extreme, the shorts have to get covered, because now beyond the point the open interest is not going to go higher, right? So that's where the shorts will start covering their position, and that's where you will get a bump up. Okay. So the other part to this is that if the prices have been in a range, okay, and then when the prices are rising, then when you see a breakout in the prices over here, okay, and if this is the OI, so say OI has been something like this. Okay, basically OI gives a breakout over here. So imagine that this is the equivalent point over here. So when the OI gives a breakout, so this is not really an extreme that you're seeing, but this is more like a trend that is going to continue for a while, because people are now getting interested into this stock. Okay. So that's where we'll have to understand, which will be the point where a maximum open interest means, whether it is a contra bet or it will be a trend continuation. So that is what you will have to figure out. And for that, basically you will have to combine the open interest analysis with your technical analysis which you follow. Okay. So I will try to highlight the way I analyze, and hopefully that can add some value to you. But obviously you can help the open interest thing for your analysis, and it will sort of help you to confirm your analysis even better. Like for example, if your analysis is saying that the stock is going to break out, and if you're seeing the same thing in the open interest, that is like a reassurance that your view is actually correct, and that's where you can double down your bet and make a meaningful impact on your PNL, right? So this is broadly on the theory part. And the other part to this is that when the open interest is at the lowest point, okay, So what happens is that when the open interest is at the lowest point, it means two things: that either people are not interested into this stock, and that is why people are not building any positions over here, or it could be a case where people are actually cashing out their positions. Okay, that means the strong hands are actually cashing out their positions, and that is where now the overall long positions which they had, say for example, if the stock has been in an uptrend. So if the long positions that they have, the strong hands are actually cashing out, and now they are neutral on the market. I mean, they are neutral on that particular stock. So when the open interest is at the lowest point, and when some trend starts to build up, so that could be a point where you can see that actually the trend is going to pick up, and that can last for a while, especially if we are looking at a medium term sort of trend reversal that is happening on the strike, I mean in the price action as well. So say for example, if this is the stock price, okay, and we are seeing the stock price breaking about the previous high, okay, but when you see the open interest at the lowest point, and this breakout is being accompanied by rise in open interest as well, that means people are now very much interested into this stock, and there is a good chance that if the prices hold above the open interest, more and more people will start coming into this stock, because technically this stock will be the strongest, and that's where people would be more interested to get into the position, and they will end up buying more and more positions into the stock, and that is what is going to lead to the open interest surge as well. Okay, so this was broadly on the theory part. Okay, now we will look at the practical examples, what has happened this expiry. Okay, so what I am looking at right now, I mean, I'll be focusing very much on this part, and I'll be focusing very much on the price change that is happening. Okay, this will sort of help me to understand whether long build-up is happening in the stock, short build-up is happening in the stock, and if there is a long or a short build-up, then are we reaching to an extreme or no? So this, are we reaching to an extreme or no, is something that we'll get to know through the charts. Okay, but understanding what is happening in the stock and understanding the behavior of the participants towards that stock will sort of help you to understand whether you need to be you need to be taking a contra bet over here, or you should be taking a bet in the direction of the trend. Okay, so say for example, this expiry is got over, right? The March expiries has got over, and now in the month of April, okay, Lalpath Labs is actually starting with an open interest of 21 lakh. But when we look at its past history, okay, you can see that over here earlier it used to be in 6 lakh, 6 lakh 10, 6 lakh 60,000, 7 lakhs, 7 lakh 82, then again 6 lakh. So broadly it was hovering within that 6-7 lakh range, right? It is only from November that you can see that there has been some open interest surge. And in fact, in the month of April, the open interest surge has been huge. Okay, that is basically 89%. And if you see from its average, which was around, say around 6 or 7. So from there, the open interest is 3 times. So what we can do over here is that we can go to the chart and we can understand what is happening over here. Okay. Now, unfortunately, this stock is actually, has actually come in the FNO only from 2021. So, we may not have much data for this, but broadly, what you will again have to do is that you will have to say, go to the stock. Okay. So the way I went to the stock is that I click over here, okay, and I go to this Lalpath Lab page over here in charts. So this is something what I actually follow, which is the Rohit setup. So what we have over here is a 20 period average, 40 period average. This is a proprietary indicator, which is Rohit momentum indicator. which works like MACD, but you will see a much more faster and a smoother signals than MACD. Okay. And in the grid, what you can see is basically whether the RMI is in buy or no. I mean, is in buy or sell, then what the trend is on different time frames. Okay. So far we have hourly, daily, weekly, and monthly. Right. So when we look at, say, Lalpath Labs, where we are seeing an extreme positioning in the OI. So what I would actually do is that I would go and I would analyze the chart based on different time frames that we have. Okay. So usually what I try to do is that I check first the monthly chart to understand what the broader trend is, and then I go to the weekly and the daily chart to understand what the short-term trends are playing out. Okay. So basically, if you see Lalpath Labs, on the monthly chart, you can see that this is sort of a range that Lalpath Labs is in. Okay. And over here, you can see that though the momentum indicator is in bullish mode on the monthly chart, but it is dipping. And when we look the same on the weekly chart, okay, so we can see that actually the weekly RMI is in sell mode, which is indicating you a lack of momentum. And on the daily chart, after this big decline, we saw a surge and there is a bullishness over there. So the way we
Jay,
would,
sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
Can you use the white background? People are requesting.
okay, sure, sorry. I hope this is better now. So see, the way you would analyze is that you will have to, once you screen the stock over here, okay, what you will have to do is that you will have to come to the stock page and specially look at two pages. One is the OI analysis, okay, to understand where the short buildup has happened and which is like a pain point for the shorts. If at all these position needs to be covered. And the second thing what you would want to look at is that how the setup is technically, okay, on all the time frames. And like I told you, what you can actually do is that you can see, you can understand what the medium term trends are, because through this OI analysis, okay, what you can actually capture is a medium term trend, right? And once you understand, say, for example, a medium trend is up, then all that you would want to do is, try to find a buy signal and then exit. Then again, find a buy signal, again exit, and so on. So the broader idea is that once you understand what is happening at a higher level, all you will do is that you will try and time on the lower time frame so that you are basically with the trend, and you are capturing the entry exit based on the momentum as and when the stock is seen. Okay. So over here, for example, if we see Lalpath Labs basically is in a range, and when we look at the future OI analysis over here, you can see that the open interest surge has been very strong. Okay. And once the open interest sort of peaked out over here, we have started to see some sort of short covering that is happening. But given that it is broadly in a range, what I would actually want to see is a breakdown from this range. Okay. If that doesn't happen, then eventually the people who would have shorted over here, okay, they might go for cover. That is because when we look at the weekly chart, okay, this is the daily chart. So in the daily chart, we have already seen a reversal over here. From there has been a nice up move that we are seeing. So yes, in terms of trend analysis, what we actually look out for is that the stock should be trading above the key daily and the weekly averages for it to qualify that it is in an uptrend or it is trying to turn around in an from downtrend to uptrend. So as you can see over here, one hurdle, that is the 20-day average, that is passed. The second hurdle, which is the 40-day exponential average, it is sort of struggling over there. Okay. And even when you look at the weekly chart, you can see that it is trading below the weekly averages. Now, when you try to figure out, where exactly the, shorting has happened. So for that, we have actually given the data over here on the left hand side, and what you actually see is chart on the right hand side. So you can see over here that the open interest has started surging from 2nd of May specifically. Okay. So over here as well, I mean, there was some open interest rise that was happening. So there was open interest addition, unwinding, so on going on. But it was basically around this point where we saw a breakout in the open interest, and then the stock declined. Okay. And there was a surge in open interest. So the point from which the stock started to rise higher was somewhere around 4th of March. Okay. Which is basically this point. So you can see over here that the entire shorts were sort of built up. Hello. Yeah. Shivam, just give me a moment. I'm just replacing my battery of my mouse. It is,
Sure.
yeah, just give me a moment.
Just a minute, guys. Jay will be continuing.
Hello. Am I audible, Shivam?
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah. So basically, see, what I was trying to say is that there was maximum short positions that you saw in Lalpath Labs, building around this point. Okay. So basically, the starting point was, say somewhere around 22,000. Sorry, 2,291. Okay, which was so over here the date was 4th of March. So it was basically from this point. Okay. Now you can see that, basically this is the area where, people will start losing money if they end up being in shorts. Okay. So that will be the level that you need to watch out for. And most likely what may happen is that if this level is not broken on the upside, okay, then there can be actually a downside that can follow as well, because over here basically what this would have done is that it would have thrown weak hands out of the stock, and the stock can actually continue its decline. Okay. But like I told you, in a broader uh, if we look at the broader trend, it is basically in a range, right? So you would actually want a range breakout that should happen in Lalpath Labs to see a meaningful trend. If this range doesn't break on the downside, okay, and we end up seeing the weekly averages, which are also, somewhere around these points. So if the weekly averages break on the upside and we see a bullish crossover in RMI as well, because if it sustains for 1 or 2 week more, the RMI will turn around and it will start, and it may end up eventually giving a buy signal. Like you see over here, there was a buy signal that was given, and after that it rallied almost around 1,000 points or so. Okay, so when there is a weekly RMI cycle buy, and when you understand the pain point basically of the future shorters, when you get both these trends merging, that's where you end up seeing a meaningful move on the upside. Okay, so like I mentioned to you, I mean, this is sort of a zone that will act as a very strong, level for Lalpath Labs on the upside. So we had seen in the previous screen only that the 40-day exponential average was also somewhere over here, which it is not able to break out for now. Okay, so this could be an interesting stock provided it breaks this range. Okay, then what will happen is that it will actually lead to a short covering rally, which will then probably push the stock higher towards its upper end of the range. Okay, and once this range gets taken out on the upside, that's where further bullish momentum can pick up, because then people will see that technically it is breaking out, and what may actually happen is that the shorts may cover, and there will be a point where if we see the breakout happening, then again you will see the open interest picking up. Okay, so this is how typically it plays out. Now this was one of the example that I gave you. Now like I told you, I mean, I will take each of this cases one by one, like which I told you, jahan pe we are seeing high short built up, and where there is a scope of a short covering rally, then one, we will see that there is an open interest surge, but technically the prices are breaking down. So this can actually lead to a trend continuation. And in that sense, when I was looking at the screen, I actually found out that Hindustan Unilever is one such case where, if you see in the past, there used to be, say, 97 crore, 97 lakh shares, 90 lakh. So basically 90, 80, it had even gone to 70 or so on. But in the last, 3 or 4 months, you have seen an open interest pickup over here. Okay. So what I do is that first I see the chart, which is expiry to expiry. Okay. And what I see over here is that open interest now being the highest ever since, it has started trading in FNO. Correct. So now what I have to figure out is that whether this is an extreme, and are we going to see a trend reversal, which means that the selling is done and the stock is likely to rise higher, or we are going to further see the open interest continuation, and that will actually push the prices lower. So for that, like I told you, we'll have to take the help of technicals. Okay. So when we do this, I mean, when we go to the stock page and I go to the chart page, okay, and when I go to this Rohit setup, which is what we follow, so I can see over here that on the weekly on the weekly chart, the trend is down. On the daily chart, the RMI is trying to give a bullish crossover, but so far, so yeah, I mean, on the hourly chart, you can see that over here we have seen a minor trend reversal because the previous high has been broken. But when you look at the weekly chart, it is in sell. When you look at the monthly chart, it is in sell. And in fact, in the monthly chart, what is happening is that the 40-month average that you see over here, that is the blue line, okay, that was not breaking, ever since I think 2000 and So 2014 or 15. So we actually have data from 2012, right? But I mean, we are in the process of bringing more historical data eventually. But when I see over here, Hindustan Unilever, and when I do the monthly chart over here, I can see that this particular average, which is the 40-month average, was being respected since 2008 or so. In fact, over here as well, we saw some minor dips here and there, but broadly, it was respecting that. Even in 2020 COVID, this was not, I mean, it broke for a while, but again, it came back. Over here as well, it tested and it came back. But now this is for the first time that we are seeing a decisive close below the 40-day exponent, I mean 40-month exponential average. So then, the fear may start arising that can this trend continue? Okay. And for that, then what becomes important to analyze is that whether the see whenever the trends are very strong, okay, or they are likely to pick up, you will see certain moving averages not breaking on either side. Okay. So since it was an uptrend over here in Unilever, you could see that the 40-month average was not breaking. And similarly, when you will see on the weekly chart, in each of the corrections, you would see that some or the other, moving averages would have held very well. Like over here, it kept on holding, and it was only around this 2020 mark. I mean, prior after 2021, okay, we saw correction and we saw a little deeper correction over here. But again, over here, what happened was that the monthly RMI, monthly RMI, sorry, the monthly averages and the lower band, it took support of that and it again rose higher. But over here, now what you're actually seeing is that Bollinger Bands have started to expand, okay? And the averages are broken. Now, this can be a very dangerous scenario. So that's where, the open interest surge that we are seeing in Unilever, this could be possible that, people are actually shorting over here. So over here, see what will happen is that there will be bouts of pullback that you will see from time to time. But like I told you, if the trends are strong, then actually what will happen is that the averages won't break on the upside, especially on the daily chart. So you can see over here that as the trend has started to pick up, you're not seeing the 40-day exponential average break on the upside. It is only when the 40-day exponential average breaks on the upside, that's where, you can start thinking that maybe a decline is complete and we are going to get a larger pullback of the stock. But yes, I mean, as long as we don't see the averages breaking, I mean, that's where the momentum can actually start picking up. Just to give you a perspective, like why we look at a longer term averages is because, I mean, and this is not just Indian market, but I can show you for any stock. So say this is Amazon, okay, and you can see that. So I'm removing the Bollinger Band, and you can see that over here you could see Amazon actually trading above the 40-month average for a very, very, very long time. Okay, eventually what happened was that there was a breakdown, pullback, and then again a breakdown. Now at that point of time when I had seen and I was actually even talking to some of the people in US basically. Okay, this seems to be breaking down. Is there any concern or so? So, they were telling कि अरे ये already 200 वाला 130 तो आ गया है और कितना गिरेगा? But even from there, from 130, it went to all the way to 80. Okay, something like IndusInd Bank, I had found something very similar. So over here as well, you could see that from 2008 on the monthly chart, this average was being respected. But once there was a breakdown, I mean, there was some zigzagging over here, but once there was this sustainable breakdown, you saw a major correction. Okay. And I can go on for a while because I have seen many such charts, actually breaking down. So when there is a pattern breakdown and you see major averages on the monthly chart breaking down, that's where it is like a red flag and you need to be careful. Okay. So this is what actually we are seeing happening in the HUL stock. Okay. And that when we look at the monthly chart over here, you can see that there is this OI surge that is happening, right? So that's where now this is one example where the open interest is actually at the highest point. Okay. But there could be a chance that uh, the open interest can continue to surge higher and the prices can continue to decline. So for that, what you now need to see is that whether on the pullbacks, I mean, when the stock is trying to jump higher, whether we are seeing short covering or long built up. Okay. And if we are seeing long built up that is happening, then you have to try and understand what will be the pain point for the short sellers, based on the data that you see over here. And once you figure out those 2 points, okay, then what you have to do is that if the prices are breaking out on the upside and the prior trend has been down, so there could be a very good chance of a short covering rally. But when the prices are actually going down, and technically also it is very weak, which means it is trading below all the important averages, and the weekly RMI or one time frame higher, they are in sell, then you have to be very careful on that stock, and you might simply want to avoid that. So basically for me, I mean, the way I analyze is that I try to combine the RMI, which is a momentum indicator, along with the moving averages to identify the trends, and try to see where there are maximum open interest that has built up. Because for me to say that HUL can reverse its downtrend will only be when the weekly averages are broken on the upside, okay, decisively. That will be the only point, technically at least, where I will feel that it is getting out of that major corrective phase that it was in. But as long as that doesn't happen, it will be vulnerable for a correction. But like I told you, there will be bouts of pullback that you will see from time to time. But again, those pullbacks, what may happen is that you might just end up seeing short covering happening on the stock. Okay. And once that that shorts are covered and the weak hands are out of the market, once again, the strong hands will again, start shorting it because they will find it attractive. As mostly the positional trader, what they try to do is that they build their position. So what will happen is that, say they would have built their position over here when there was a breakdown, right? So when there is a pullback and when they again see the price weakening, so that's where they will again start building their position. Okay. So that's where the strong hands, who are confident that the prices will go down, they will actually again try shorting. So based on the data, you will have to actually try to find out where can be the maximum pain point for the people who are trading with the existing trend. And once that level, that particular level is taken out, no, that's where you can actually see a meaningful trend on the opposite side. But until you don't get those confirmations, there could be a chance that the prices can continue to decline. Now, the other scenario which I mentioned to you was that when the open interest, so basically when the open interest is at the lowest, okay, like I told you, it can mean two things: that either the strong hands are cashing out from the stock, okay, or it could mean that people are not interested into this stock, and until the OI doesn't start surging, this stock is likely to remain in a range, and it can continue to either be sideways. And then what you have to watch out is, when the prices are rising higher, is it accompanied by a built up that is happening in the stock or no? And if so, then yes, there is a chance that prevailing, that then that particular trend can actually pick up. Now for that, while I was scanning through the stocks, I could actually find a very good example on Infosys. So in Infosys, you can see that the open interest was almost at its lowest point over here, which was, way back in 2012 or 13. And see over here, what was eventually happening was that when the prices were rising higher, okay, it was not really accompanied by a big surge in open interest. So that means that it was only around this point where people were very much interested in the stock. But after that, the interest kept losing, and even when the prices were actually making, I mean, they were rising higher, but the open interest was not rising higher now. But what has happened in the recent past is that the open interest was low over here, okay, and if I try to match it with the price, so it was basically around this point. Sorry, it was basically around this point when this first decline happened, which was, says, I mean, you can see over here the percentage. The first decline that you could see, there was some surge in open interest. Then over here on the upside, people had built up some long, but now over here in the past month, I mean, in this expiry, basically we have seen a lot of surge in open interest, and that you can see it over here. That it had gone to 2 lakh 20 from there. Sorry, this has been 2 crore 20 lakh shares. From there, it has gone to 3 crore 93. And you can see that there is a surge in open interest and the prices declined by 10% or so. So now that means that people are actually shorting into this stock. So now again, we go back to the same criteria to see what is happening on the higher time frame. Okay. Which means if I go to the chart, if I go to the Rohit setup, and I see what is happening on the weekly and the monthly chart. So see over here, what I can see is that the averages are getting breached over here. Okay. It has also, sort of, I mean, it is now actually testing its previous low over here. So according to the Dow trend, it has given a bearish reversal here itself. Okay. But now even the previous low, which was its support, that is actually in a threat of breaking down as well. Now, when I look at it technically, okay, and if I draw a trend line, so this is now right at the trend line. Okay. So if I go to the future screen, I do the OI analysis over here, and I see that the stock price is at the support level, right? So what I would want to see is that whether this support firstly holds or no, and if it holds, then whether in this bounce, this gap area, then the moving averages, so yes, this gap area, then the moving averages, are they breaking or no? And for that, I will keep a track as to how it is playing out on a higher time frame. Okay, so I mean, higher time frame is actually turning bearish, because you can see over here that on the monthly chart there was a doji, and then there is a big red candle over here. On weekly, it is already negative and it has broken the weekly averages. On the daily chart, I would then want to see whether this daily averages are being breached or not. And all this is happening just prior to the Infosys, announcing its quarterly results. So now the result season is going to start. So is it that people are anticipating a weak result, and that is why people are shorting? So the answer again to that would be, see where the people have actually started to build their short positions. Okay. And this, if you see, majorly happened from, I mean, somewhere around this point. And you could actually see a big surge in open interest only after 2nd March. So 2nd March, if I see in the data, sorry, 2nd March. So if I see over here, I mean, so you could see over here a surge of 3, 4. So this was not really significant, but I think in the recent past, we have seen a strong, OI built up that you can see over here, 4%, 8%, 6%, and so on. Okay. So I would tend to think that the initial, I mean, this is like the zone where shorters have, shorted significantly, and especially over here, which is 8%. So that is on 26th. That was on 26th. Okay. So somewhere over here. So now over here, what I'll do is that I'll go back to the basics, and what I will see is that whether the gap area is getting filled or no, or is it trying to break above it or no, then whether the averages are being breached on the upside or no. If those things don't happen, then what we are seeing on the monthly chart of the open interest rising higher. So what may eventually happen is that the prices can actually decline and you can see the open interest rising higher. So another way could be, drawing a trend line over here and seeing if there is an OI breakout that you're seeing or no. So OI breakout happening along with, important support levels breaking on the lower time frame, then that would be furthermore indication that people are actually shorting the stock and there can be weakness that can persist in the stock in the days and the weeks to come. Okay. Now, last example, which I would like to give, and post that we'll open the floor for the Q&A, is when I mentioned over here that when the OI is down, okay, so is it that people are actually, getting away from the position, okay, or is it like people are not interested into that? And like I gave you an example that when the open interest is at the lowest and the open interest starts surging, that is where you have to be very mindful and you have to see basically where how the trend can develop based on the medium term setup that you see. So like I told you, this is something that I look at it from a positional perspective only. Okay. So this is how I am actually trying to explain you what you can actually do is that if, for example, the trend line breaks and it is confirmed that from a medium term perspective, Infosys is weak, then what you can actually do is that you can go on a lower time frame and then you can try to find the sell signals, and that's how you can actually take the benefit of the broader trend. So what you do is that you trade in the direction of the trend, but you use the lower time frame to basically time your entry and exits. Okay. So now this one example, this last example where you will see the prices actually surging, but the open interest keeps reducing. Okay. When these sort of things happen, then it could be an indication that people are actually trying to liquidate their position. So they are probably not more interested in holding on to the position. So one such example was when I was looking at the chart was Pidilite. Okay. Over here, you could see that the prices saw nearly 10% surge, but the open interest was down. And when we see the historical data over here, okay, so now it is actually at a one year low, the starting open interest. Okay. So now again, what we do is that we go to the stock page chart, right? We do the OI analysis over here and see what is happening. So you can see that around this point, there was a lot of open interest that was there. Okay. Which means basically in this decline, people shorted meaningfully. And in this up move, they have cashed out. Okay. And now when we look at the long-term trend, okay, of the OI, it is now actually at the support level over here, which is basically if I draw a horizontal line, it is actually around the support level over here. Okay. And this, when I was actually analyzing the monthly chart of this, what I could find was that, see, at lower levels, I mean, if you see this in a monthly expiry chart, you will find it even more appealing. So what had happened over here was that around this level and around this level, that's where a meaningful long positions were taken by the strong hands. Okay. And since then, you are seeing open interest in this range, right? Now, if at all the prices continue to rise higher, okay, and this range actually breaks on the downside, then I would probably imagine that people who would have taken long positions, who have been holding long positions for, medium to long term, because honestly, I mean, I know you might find it very crazy that how can people, actually take the position and roll over for 8, 10 years. But basically, what they try to do is that they play on leverage. And I know many of the people, what they do is that they only play in large cap stocks. I mean, all the FNO good stocks. And what they do is that if they find that they are in a perpetual bull market or they see that the fundamentals are very strong, then they actually buy the stock and they continue to hold till the time the trend doesn't reverses. Okay, especially on the weekly and the monthly chart. So over here, if this open interest were to be broken on the downside, okay, and the prices still continue to rise higher, then what I would actually start thinking is that, people, the strong hands are now actually cashing out. Okay. And see, over here, what you have to actually try and do is that you will have to try and correlate with what is happening into that sector, right? If you now I know that Pidilite is not a like to like comparison to HUL or so, but it is into the FMCG segment, right? Now, if I see the chart of any FMCG stock, say for example Asian Paint, it is now again at that critical level that you see over here. And when you see it as a triangle formation and the stock is at a risk of breaking the 40-month average, I would be really, really careful, because something very similar had happened to ITC somewhere around this point. Okay, there was this triangular formation that had happened. And once that broke on the downside, I mean, stock nearly declined 20-30% from there. Now, this is happening in Asian Paint, like I told you. Okay, this is happening in Dabur. You can see over here, this is happening in Marico. Okay, so there are many such stocks where all these things are happening. Okay, in fact, like I told you, HUL has actually led on the downside, because over here you can actually see the sorry. So over here you can actually see the stock breaking down on the downside, right? So see, what can happen is that a stock cannot continue to move higher, defying what is happening in the sector. Okay, so if the sector is actually, moving down or it is declining, then somewhere what my interpretation would be that weekends, the strong hands are actually taking note of what is happening on the FMCG sector as a whole. Okay, and I mean, everyone would know that Pidilite is actually richly valued, and yes, the growth is there, but it is richly valued, right? So what will happen is that even if the earnings keep rising higher, it might actually start seeing a valuation derating, right? And that can also be the reason why probably the strong hands, which were not cashing out for a very, very long time, now they are trying to cash out, and due to which you're seeing the open interest going down. Okay. And that could actually be a sign of distribution. Now, just to give you an example, okay, I mean, this was something I had actually spotted in the Nifty index as well in 2020. So what was happening over here was that the open interest was rising higher, okay, and at this point, basically at the peak, you can see that the open interest was at its lowest point in the last 8-10 years. So obviously after COVID, what happened was that people actually shifted to the options, and that's where there is this structural change that has happened over there. But you could see that the Nifty index was rising higher, but the open interest consistently kept going down. And I mean, yes, you may say that okay, uske baad to open interest has gone down, so this could be a one off. I mean, not necessarily it will happen every time. So something very similar I had found out in many stocks around that time, and it was basically in Grasim as well. So when you see in Grasim around this high, okay, so sorry, so Grasim was at its lowest point since 2012 over year, which was actually the top. Okay. What it meant was that people are actually cashing out over here. Okay. And once there was this distribution pattern that happened and that broke on the downside, you actually saw a big surge in open interest over here. And obviously, I mean, COVID happened. So, I mean, many people then anticipated that dunya khatam ho jayega and so on. And that's why they were, shorting everything left, right, and center. Right. But like I told you, at a point when the open interest, surges a lot, so that's where you need to be very, very careful. And in fact, once again, if you see Grasim, it is now, coming back towards its lowest point in the last 3 or 4 years. So then, is this a sign of distribution or can it continue? And for that, basically, what you have to actually do is that go into stock, go to the chart, look at what the weekly, monthly trends are telling you. Okay. Because if it is in a major bull market, then what will actually happen is that you will see open interest coming towards the lowest point. But then again, on the upside, when the stock starts rising higher, the open interest again starts surging. Okay. Then again, when on the pullback, open interest goes down. Okay, it again come back towards its lowest point, and then again it keeps rising higher. Something of this sort is happening in Bajaj Auto, and this was also something that we had discussed in our last webinar also, while we were discussing about the OI analysis. So what you see over here is that Bajaj Auto is actually in a very good uptrend. Okay, and what you see over here is that at this point you had seen that strong hands entering the market, and from there we have seen bouts of pullback, and you would see actually open interest going down. So over here as well, so wait, let me show you with the price action, right? So over here in the consolidation that happens, you see open interest going down. When again the surge happens, you will see open interest rising higher. Then in the correction, you will see open interest going down, then again rising higher. And so this is a sign that the stock is actually in a bull market. So that's why always open interest, you have to look at it from a trend analysis perspective, right? Because when you look at the charts, and the reason why I find, I mean, why I use this setup is that it is very clean to the eyes to see. Because see, when the Bajaj Auto started rising higher, okay, around this phase, so what happened was that the averages did not break at all, right? So there were this minor pullbacks that happened from time to time. Uh, so whenever it tested back the averages, it again started rising higher. And you could make out that when the prices were starting to rise higher, okay, that's where again you would see open interest also building up. So say, for example, if you see from this point, right? If you see from this point, which was say a 9th of Feb. So yeah, around this point, you can see that there was this open interest surge that was happening. And when open interest surged a lot for that particular move, basically over here, 10% surge you saw. So there was this a bit of a cool off that happened. So this cool off typically happens to, throw the weak hands out of the market. But, once you see the cooling off of the open interest, you see unwinding over here, then again, what you will see is a bout of buying that will again kick in, and that will again result in people building up long position. So this is like an hallmark for a good uptrending stock, where the open interest comes down, it again starts rising higher, comes down, again starts rising higher. So then the question would actually be that, how do we recognize if the distribution is happening in the stock due to low open interest, or whether this is going to be in an uptrend? The answer would be to see what is happening after the open interest is going towards its lowest point. Like if over here the open interest is at its lowest point and it's around the highs, and when the decline is happening and the open interest is surging, then that would be a sign that people are now saying that maybe the bull market or the a large up move in the stock is getting completed, and the prices can now start declining. Now remember one thing, I mean, whenever these sort of extreme happens, and I have highlighted this in length in this webinar, okay, which was the identifying medium term trend reversal. No, these are very strong trends that can happen. Just to give you an example, so what happened in ITC was something very similar, which I was talking about, where there was the cycle that actually played out, okay, which means so over here, what happened was that prices rose higher, okay, but specifically in this particular phase, okay, around this particular phase, there was open interest which was at its lowest point. So wait, let me do this. So you can see that open interest over here was at its maximum when the prices were going down. So what was happening was that people were actually accumulating shorts over here because the prices were not moving higher. So see over here, when the decline was happening, and then again over here, you could see that surge was happening in open interest. And at this point, okay, people did go long over here, but there were a lot many people who were short at this point, and that's where it led to the open interest surging towards its highest point since history, I guess. I mean, if you see the entire history over here, you would have never seen open interest surging to this high. And eventually what happened was that there was a big short covering rally that eventually played out. So the power of big short covering is huge. I mean, I can so like I told you, I had spoken about this in length. I mean, even when you see Sun Pharma, and when you look at the monthly chart, you can see over here as well. At the bottom, the open interest was actually at its highest, and what followed after that was a massive short covering that was going on. And now what is happening is that there are these bouts of pullback that happen where the open interest goes down, then again when it starts rising higher, the open interest rise higher, then on the pullback it again comes down, and this is now into that uptrend the stock is in. And that's where then analyzing the chart and understanding what is happening technically becomes very important, because as you can see that from this rise, the averages are not being break. So what is happening is that there is a minor pullback from time to time that is happening, but then that is getting bought into. So that is actually the power of identifying where the major shorts are, okay, because once the major shorts see, why do major shorts happen? That is because something would be terribly wrong with the company. I mean, it would be either earnings, or there could be some scam, or I don't know, some news might float around. So for Sun Pharma, it was basically Aditya Medicare or something, there was this corporate governance issue and so on, right? But beyond the point, like I told you, open interest cannot rise higher. Okay, and when people are short to their neck, eventually they will have to cover their shorts, and once the short covering happens, it leads to that cycle that prices start rising higher. When the prices start rising higher, the perception of the people change, and they start thinking, okay, is the bigger bear market complete, and is it coming out of a bear market or no? If they would feel that is the case, then they would actually start building their long position, and that's where the cycle happens, that there was this short built up, short covering happens, and once the short covering happens and the trend actually changes, that's where long built up starts happening, and that entire cycle continues. So yeah, I mean, that was basically it from my part. Now people can actually ask their questions, and I would be happy to address them.
So first up is Mahathir. I'll ask to unmute.
Yeah. Mahathir, I mean, you would have got a request of unmuting yourself. Yeah.
Sir. Good morning, sir. Sir, your explanation is very good.
Thank you.
But my question is two questions.
Yeah.
One is what is the good setup for go for long in stocks? What is your best setup?
So see, what I usually try to see is that where is it that the trend is breaking on the upside, okay, or
Okay.
where is it that there is maximum short in the system.
Okay.
These are the two
and one more,
setups. Yeah, sorry.
sir, short covering and breakout. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. And one more question is, please explain about ABFRL.
ABFRL.
ABFRL, Aditya Birla Fashion.
So see, whatever we discuss, I mean, this is just a disclaimer. We are
Okay.
not into this advisory service and so on. I mean, this is what I see is purely my interpretation, and it should not be considered any recommendation, right?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So see, what you see happening over here is that there was this open interest breakout that we saw over here, right?
Yes. Yes.
So over here, what had happened, I'm guessing, is that this breakout may, many of the long people would have been stuck because you
Yes.
saw a surge in open interest over here only, right?
Yes. Yes.
In this decline, many of the weak hands would have covered their position,
Okay.
right? But
Okay.
now you are seeing actually continuous decline that is happening. And in this decline, you can actually see the open interest surging, right?
Yes.
So now
Yes.
what is happening is that there is possibly a tug of war between the bulls and the bears.
Yes.
So now what you actually have to track is that on the stock level, okay, what is
Okay.
happening? Like if the prices are going down, is it accompanied by a short built up, or is it short covering or long unwinding or whatever is happening? Okay, because like I told you, it is a tug of war between the bulls and the bears, which, I mean, many of the people who would have gone long over here, they would have anyways been slaughtered over here, right? Now bears are actually trying to take that charge on the downside. So what you would
Yes.
ideally want to see more and more short build up happening in the coming days. Okay.
Okay.
If that
Okay.
doesn't happen, then probably this shorts which would have been created. So like I told you, what you can actually do is that you can see the data and you can see where the pain point can be. Okay. So after
Yes.
4th of March, if I see, there has been huge short built up that has been done around this point, right?
Yes.
So this is like a pain point, which is around 225 or so, which is basically nothing but around this point.
Yes.
Okay. So I think if
Okay.
this point would break on the upside, that's where the short sellers will start getting nervous and there could be a scope of a short covering. But until
Yes.
this zone doesn't break out, and if these are strong hands, so what will happen is that there will be a pullback that can happen, but this pullback will only attract the sellers to sell more because
Okay.
they would be confident of prices going down.
Okay.
And that's where you can actually take the help of this Rohit momentum setup that we look at. Okay. And you can try to gauge the trend, what is happening on the higher time frames.
Okay.
Okay. So see, actually, if you see technically, it is very weak. That is because over here there was a decline. Then this
Yes.
appears to be just like a consolidation that has happened. And in fact,
Yes.
this may look more like a bear flag, right?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, yes, sir.
And that's where I think probably the bears have recognized this and they have shorted. And you can
Okay.
see that the weekly averages are also around that point only, around the 225 point,
Okay.
where there are maximum short that have been built up.
Yes.
So I mean, if someone is long, they need to be a little careful, especially if they start seeing short built up happening, then prices can further go down, in my view.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So yeah, just before I address the next question, for the people, I mean, these are the questions which I commonly get in many of the webinars that we conduct. So we have, I mean, see, many of the things over here might probably be a little new to you. So we have created a lot of videos for y'all to understand the features in depth. So you can go to this help section over here and you can see all our videos. So basically, whichever are unique screens like sentiment indicators, and in options we have couple of unique screens on which we have actually done webinar over here, like the strike OI insights. So these all webinars you can see over here. And in fact, there are also short videos that you can see in the help section. If you all are finding any issues in the system, you can raise a ticket. Okay. And what type of issues you are facing? Are you facing difficulty in understanding, or are you facing any data issue or so on? You can, you can even put the attachment over here and our team will probably get back to you. Okay. And apart from that, we have this billing plans over here. So we are giving the maximum discount right now in 1 year, 2 year, and 5 year. Okay. And for 1 month, it is 650. So all the plans are the same only. The only thing is the tenure difference, right? So yes, with that, we can move on to the next question. Shivam.
Yeah. So, Rakesh Jain, you can unmute and ask a question.
हेलो
Hello. Yeah.
सर मैं ये जानना चाह रहा था कि जैसे कि अभी आपने बताया ये अप्रैल सीरीज के अंदर में हम डेटा का इंटरप्रिटेशन करके किस प्रकार से देख सकते हैं।
Right.
सपोज कि ये मेरे को बैक डेट में जाके ये देखना है। फरवरी में जैसे आपका सेमिनार हुआ था तो उसमें आपने बताया, सिमिलरली जनवरी दिसंबर किसी भी पॉइंट के ऊपर में फ्यूचर का परसेंटेज रिटर्न अगर मिल जाए तो स्टैटिस्टिकली जो आप चीज बता रहे हैं वो हम लोगों के लिए देखने के लिए और आसान हो जाएगा।
तो इसमें ना देखो, एक चीज ना आप क्या कर सकते हो कि आप जब ये फ्यूचर के स्क्रीन में जाओगे, ठीक है, रोल ओवर में, तो यहाँ पर ना ऑलरेडी वो रिटर्न चार्ट पे दिख ही जाते हैं। मतलब सी इन द डेटा व्हाट वी आर गिविंग इज एक्चुअली ओनली दिस मच। सो यू कैन ऑल्सो, मतलब आप जब भी आप डाउनलोड भी आप एक्सेल करोगे ना, तो आपको ये पूरा डेटा मिलेगा। बट for that granularity you will probably need to check on the chart, because जैसे कि देखो, अगर ये है, ठीक है, जैसे आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हो कि ये परसेंटेज चेंज क्या हुआ है ओवर ईयर एट द टॉप। सो दिस
नहीं मैं क्या सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट यू, मैं ये बोलना चाह रहा हूँ जैसे अभी आपने बता दिया कि भाई पीडीलाइट में ये हुआ था या बजाज फाइनेंस में ये हुआ था, तो अगर मेरे पास में इस स्क्रीन के अंदर में मिनिमम 3 महीना का भी डेटा अगर कहीं से आ जाए कि जनवरी फरवरी 3 महीना रोल ओवर होता है, तो जनवरी फरवरी मार्च में उस स्टॉक का प्राइसेस भी अगर साइड में अगर आ जाए एक कॉलम में, तो उसमें क्या हुआ था ओपन इंटरेस्ट बड़ा होने की वजह से, वो क्लियरिटी एक साथ में आ जाएगी, मेरा
तो
ये बोलना है।
वो यहाँ पे भी आप देख सकते हो, सी यहाँ पे ना आपको 2 मंथ्स का चेंज दिया है प्राइस का।
हाँ, एक तो मार्च में जो चेंज हुआ वो मिल गया,
राइट।
और मार्च के अब अगर अगर मेरे को फरवरी का अगर देखना है तो मैं कैसे देखूंगा?
तो मैं आपको वही बता रहा हूँ कि यहाँ पे ना, सी हम लोग ना जितना ज्यादा यहाँ पे डालेंगे ना, उतना
हम्म।
यूजर को ही प्रॉब्लम होगा कि बहुत सारा डेटा है।
नहीं, ठीक है, अगर मैं सपोज करिए उसको एक्सेल में डाउनलोड कर लेता हूँ,
हाँ,
तो एक्सेल में डाउनलोड करके अगर मेरे को फरवरी का अगर प्राइसेस लेना है तो मैं कहाँ से लूँ, अगर वैसा भी कुछ है तो?
तो हाँ, तो आप ये अब कर सकते हो ना कि यहाँ पे आप जाके आपने ये फेब कर दिया, ठीक है।
हम्म।
एंड यहाँ पे
हम्म।
ये जो टॉप पे आप जो प्राइसेस देख रहे हो,
हम्म।
दिस इज द स्टार्टिंग प्राइस ऑफ द न्यू एक्सपायरी।
हम्म।
ये जो
अच्छा,
आपको
वो मैनुअली लेना पड़ेगा?
हाँ, बिकॉज आई मीन अ लॉट ऑफ डेटा वी कैन नॉट गिव अवे। सो ये सारे जब हम एक्चुअली में बैक टेस्टिंग मॉड्यूल जब हम बनाएंगे ना, सी
हम्म।
फ्रैंकली हम लोग ने ना लास्ट 3 महीने से सब्सक्रिप्शन स्टार्ट किया और डेवलपमेंट 8-9 महीने से चालू है, ठीक है, 10 महीने से और सो। तो एज द सिस्टम इवॉल्व्स हम लोग ज्यादा चीजें डालते जाएंगे, राइट। बट एज ऑफ नाउ यू विल हैव टू डू मैन्युअली, बट व्हेन वी एक्चुअली गेट इनटू द बैक टेस्टिंग मॉड्यूल, वो टाइम पे आपको शायद डेटा मिल जाएगा सब कुछ। आई मीन आप ये एक्चुअली में देख सकते हो कि अगर शॉर्ट बिल्टअप हुआ था तो उसके बाद क्या रिटर्न आया था एंड सो ऑन।
ठीक
बट
है,
एज ऑफ
थैंक यू।
नाउ
और
फ्रैंकली वो नहीं है।
और एक क्वेश्चन था, ये जैसे, ये तो जो आपका मंथ ऑन मंथ के अंदर में, जैसे डॉक्टर लाल पेथलर का 89% शो कर रहा है, तो मार्च में 11 लाख के करीब था तो वो 21 लाख हो गया,
करेक्ट।
इसी वास्ते वो 89% शो कर रहा है। लेकिन जब ये जो आपकी जो दूसरी स्क्रीन है जिसमें अंदर में वो 3 मंथ्स एवरेजेस 97%, 98% जो दिखाता है,
हाँ,
एक्सपायरी वाली स्क्रीन के अंदर में,
करेक्ट
अ,
करेक्ट।
तो इसमें इसका क्या डिफरेंस है, ये बता पाएंगे? मेरे को रोल ओवर का इतना पता नहीं है, जैसे ये
देखो ये रोल
99%।
ओवर में ना क्या होता है पता है क्या, कि मान लो कि अगर, ये मैं आपको एक बहुत क्रूड एग्जांपल दे रहा हूँ, ठीक है, कि अगर मान लो कि मेरे पास आज, मतलब मान लो कि ये जो भी है, ये कौन सा एक्सपायरी है, मार्च खत्म हो गया, ठीक है। अभी
हाँ।
अप्रैल, अभी मार्च खत्म हो गया तो तुरंत आपके पास खाली दो एक्सपायरीज रहेंगे, करेक्ट, विच इज अप्रैल
हम्म।
एंड मई, करेक्ट।
अप्रैल और मई। हाँ।
तो अभी हम लोग ये इसमें ना क्या देखते हैं कि ये दोनों का, आई मीन आप जब भी मार्च, अप्रैल और मई, ये
हम्म।
तीनों अगर आप देखते हो तो मान लो कि मार्च मंथ में 50 था, ओके।
हम्म।
अप्रैल मंथ में, सॉरी, हाँ, मार्च मंथ में ओपन इंटरेस्ट 50 था, अप्रैल मंथ में 45 है, और मई मंथ में 5 है खाली, करेक्ट।
ठीक है।
अभी उसमें क्या
हाँ।
हो गया है कि ये तो हट गया, बराबर।
हाँ।
तो
हाँ।
लोग खाली इतने को रोल ओवर कर रहे हैं, करेक्ट, मतलब
हम्म।
इतने में पोजीशन है, तो वो क्या हो जाता है कि 50% रोल ओवर हो जाता है उसका। समझे आप?
तो ये क्या है, 49 प्लस डिवाइडेड बाई 50 होगा क्या?
हाँ,
परसेंटेज
तो
कैसे
ये
निकालें?
50 डिवाइड बाय 100 होगा, मतलब इट इज
अच्छा।
A+B+C, ठीक है।
ओके।
इससे आपको टोटल ओपन इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा,
ठीक है।
और ये 2 महीने में कितना कैरी फॉरवर्ड हो रहा है।
ओके, 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 आई गॉट द पॉइंट।
सो वही बहुत सारे लोग ना एक्चुअली ये वे में देखते हैं, ठीक है। वो समटाइम्स आई फाउंड इट एज मिसलीडिंग ऑनेस्टली। तो व्हाट आई एक्चुअली डू
हम्म।
इसके, मैं अर्ली पोजिशनिंग में एक्चुअली शेयर देखता हूँ
हाँ, हाँ, हाँ।
कि कितना हो रहा है, क्योंकि ये, इसके लिए हम लोग ने क्या किया, हम लोग ने 12 मंथ का डेटा भी दिया है आपको समझने के लिए
हम्म।
कि क्या ये आउटलायर है क्या। बिकॉज जैसे कि फॉर
हम्म।
एग्जाम्पल आप ये लालपत लैब्स हटा के आप ये
हम्म।
स्टॉक देखो, कौन सा मैंने देखा था, 1 मिनट, विच स्टॉक। इसमें बेसिकली मैं ये बताना चाह रहा था कि हाँ, जैसे कि ये देखो, ये सेल देखिए, अभी सेल में ना आपको 83% का जंप दिख रहा है OI, करेक्ट? बट आप उसका पास देखो तो वो समवेयर अराउंड दैट रेंज में ही था, समझे? यू कैन सी 11 करोड़ शेयर्स, 13 करोड़, 11, 13, 16, 15। तो ये आपको OI चेंज आपको मंथ ऑन मंथ 80% बता रहा है, ठीक है? बट ये एक्चुअली में क्या हुआ है कि ये अपने नॉर्मल ओपन इंटरेस्ट पे वापस आ रहा है, तो इट मे और मे नॉट बी वेरी सिग्निफिकेंट। बट जो स्टॉक्स एक्चुअली में बहुत ऊपर आते जा रहे हैं, मतलब जैसे कि फॉर एग्जांपल इवन अगर आप कैनरा बैंक देखो, तो कैनरा बैंक अगर 3 करोड़, 4.5 करोड़ शेयर, 5 करोड़, और उसके बाद अगर वो 6 करोड़ पे आ रहा है, तो इवन एक्चुअली दिस इज नॉट दैट सिग्निफिकेंट, ओके? क्योंकि ये नॉर्मली अपने एवरेज के आजू बाजू ही आ रहा है। बट इफ यू सी समथिंग लाइक MCX, जिसका 12, 17, 13, यहाँ पे एक दो बार 30 हुआ था, बट अगेन इट हैड सेटल्ड अराउंड 20, 23 और सो, एंड वहां पे जब 33 हो रहा है एंड देन देर इज अ बिग प्राइस चेंज, तो आपको वो नोट लेना चाहिए, समझा? सी, ये स्क्रीन ना राकेश जी बेसिकली क्या करता है कि आपको एज अ स्क्रीनर हेल्प करता है टू अंडरस्टैंड के स्टार्टिंग ऑफ द पोजीशन पे ना लोग कैसे अपने आप को पोजीशन कर रहे हैं। अगर आपको लगता है कि मार्केट का करेक्शन खत्म हो गया है मान लो, और मार्केट ऊपर जाने वाला है, देन दीज आर द स्टॉक्स विच यू विल सी कि कहाँ पे शॉर्ट कवरिंग का स्कोप है।
समझ गया, जिसमें एक्सपोनेंशियल ओपन इंटरेस्ट हिस्टोरिकली क्या बना हुआ है, वो सारा इस क्लियर से हम लोग को मिलता है।
करेक्ट,
थैंक यू सर, आपके एनालिसिस के लिए और गाइडेंस के लिए।
थैंक यू, थैंक यू।
So next is Vinay Vijay. You can unmute.
Yeah. Hey, hi Jay.
हाय विनय।
Hey, hi. You mentioned about the maximum pain point, right? I just wanted to understand how to identify that, and is it the same as in the options tab? There is a max pain point for combined OI and
नो, दैट इज अ डिफरेंट पॉइंट ऑल टुगेदर। वो तो ऑप्शंस के पोजिशनिंग पे यू नो द सिस्टम डिफाइंस के मतलब वहां पे देर आर कैलकुलेशंस टू अराइव व्हाट इज द मैक्स पेन। बट लाइक आई टोल्ड यू, आई मीन see we have the chart and the grid system over here, right? So what you can actually do is ke whenever you are seeing a surge in price, okay, and you are also seeing that there is a big decline that is happening, so simply what you do is that वो table पे आके देखने का कि where is it that there is I mean there is maximum built up that is happening. Say for example over here the open interest has really surged, right? तो यहाँ पे 18th March, तो 18 March का data if I see it is somewhere over here, so I can see that consistently for 5-6 days there has been short built up that has happened, right? And there you have seen the open interest rising higher as well. So initially this would be the first pain point that I would look out for, and the bulls might need to clear in order to give pain to the bears. But until that doesn't happen, what will actually end up happening is कि there will be pullbacks that you will see from time to time, जहाँ पे इसमें से जो भी shorts में जो भी weak hands रहेंगे ना, they will cash out their position, and once again when the stock starts declining, you will see open interest starts surging higher. I'm not sure if that answers your question, Vinay. And please don't mute yourself. Shivam, can you once again unmute Vinay?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vinay, please don't mute yourself or else.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize that. Yeah, so essentially what you are saying, Jay, is we have to see the trending part of the chart, and would it be that the lower part of the trend before the pullback happens or whatever is the maximum pain point, or the beginning, maybe beginning of the
See, this might probably be strong hands, okay?
Yeah.
This would be people who are trying to chase momentum, okay? So these are the people first that they need to cut out, I mean that the bulls need to cut them out. So there are, I can show you that there are positional hands now which can continue to carry their position for a long time. So say for example, if you see something like Petronet, okay, if I go towards the OI analysis chart and I see, so this was also one of the stocks, I don't know if I had discussed or no, but yahan pe na maximum shorting had happened. You can see that there was a big surge in open interest over here, correct? Now, in this entire rise, there have been few people, I mean, there have been many people who would have cashed out. But given that the open interest is still very high, that means people who would have shorted earlier as well, they might have not gotten out yet. Okay. So isme, when we do a larger time frame analysis, what you would understand is that there was this breakout due to which there was this decline that had happened. But in this decline, the stock couldn't even make a lower low, right? And when the stock surged, we have seen some bout of short covering. Now, I think a bigger short covering may end up happening once this 4-5 year of range breaks on the upside. So what I can understand through the data is that कि यहाँ पे बहुत लोगों ने shorting किया है who are not yet ready to give up.
So around the 200 range would be the max pain point, and if the breakout happens,
yeah, it would be actually around 230 or so. So wait, I will just give you the exact point. So यहाँ पे it was, see, it was basically over year, okay. हाँ, so actually yes, around 200 point, around 200 के वहां पर ही there are people who would have shorted meaningfully. So let us actually check the data. So it was in November 2023. November 2023. So see here, you had seen maximum short built up that is happening, right?
Yeah.
Can you see this?
Yes.
So yes, these are the people, they had heavily shorted. Matlab, see, 8% जब भी decline हुआ था was this point. So you can assume that it would be somewhere around here where people would be, holding their short positions. So my guess is that कि जब ये पूरा range breakout होगा ना, which you are seeing a 4-5 year sort of consolidation, that's where I think these people will start panicking and they may end up covering the position. And
So
that would lead to, open interest coming back towards its normal point. Because people would have recognized that this stock is in a bull run, and then what will happen is also कि यहाँ पे breakout होते time people will realize कि अरे ये तो stock अभी uptrend में आ गया. So there will be people who might also start building long positions.
Okay. So all these people who built the shorts at 200 level, you're saying have been rolling over for all these months.
It seems like because the open interest is still very high, right?
Yeah.
So that means they have not completely cashed out.
Got it. So essentially, to understand the max pain point, we need to see both these charts, price and open interest, to understand and then interpret.
Yes, yes. ये chart से now what will happen is that you will at least end up finding out the dates. या तो क्या है, यहाँ पे तो ढूंढते रहना पड़ेगा, right?
Correct.
ये chart से at least approx date मिल जाएगा, and over there you can then end up scanning.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I think I understood. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
So next is Praneeth Kumar. You can unmute.
Hi, Jay.
Hi.
It was a wonderful session. Might have to go back to your previous recordings to understand some data and come back to this again. So one query that still making me feel incomplete is you just explained what can be done with respect to what stock does when it goes back to the moving averages. But can you explain one scenario where how you acted in the past so it completes a full cycle?
So see, I will tell you, I mean, one thing you have to understand, Pranit, is that you need to have a basis of your analysis.
Right.
Okay? So that is like the topmost thing that you have to, do in your analysis. OI thing and all will actually help you to confirm your analysis, what you're doing. Okay. So say, for example, if you see a stock like REC, okay, I think over there were a lot of short build-ups that were happening. Sorry. So around this point, okay, you can see over here that that there was a that there was a meaningful short build-up that had happened over here. Okay. So what was happening is that, sorry, in fact, it was long built up over here. Okay. You can see over here that this is a long built up. This was a pullback. Okay. And technically, what was happening is that this entire range was breaking on the upside. Okay. And in fact, I mean, this is something that we had spoken of earlier in our other avatar, that is India charts. So over there, we had discussed this in length, that PSU index, okay, that is actually seems to be breaking out over here. Okay, you can see that in the month of November 2020 or so, the monthly RMI cycle, okay, that is the proprietary indicator that we use, that had given a bullish signal. Okay, so what I was trying to find at that point of time was which are the stocks that are giving a technical breakout, okay, and where we are sort of getting the help of the OI analysis as well. So what had happened over here that यहाँ पे ना the open interest had come to the lowest point, okay, somewhere around this point. Then what was happening was that, see, I will give you the precise figure over here. Okay, यहाँ से the highest OI part. Okay, so over here there was this tug of war that was happening between the bulls and the bears. So over here there was some longs that were created, but at the same time over here massive shorts were created. Okay, and after that there was this long unwinding that had happened. Okay, I mean the people who would have gone long over here around this point, which led to some sort of up move. Okay, so they would have covered in this at this point, because surely they wouldn't have been able to bear it. But it was still telling me that open interest has not come back to the lowest level, which means that over here, whatever shorting has happened, people are actually holding on to that shorts. Okay. And that's where eventually, when this entire range break on the upside, okay, and you would notice that this breakout had actually occurred somewhere in 2023 or so. But you can see that PSU index had given a breakout also somewhere around in 2023. Okay, so then I was trying to find stocks which had not rallied. Now the Petronet example which I had given just now, okay, this also sort of I mean, a similar thesis is over there as well. Because see, what is happening is that you have seen a PSU index which has broken out of almost 14 years of consolidation, right? So you would agree on this part that the up move cannot end in 1 years of uptrend. Would you agree to this part?
Yes.
Okay. So then what I would do is that I will try to find stocks where there are short build-ups or there are meaningful setups that I can see. One more example of that was actually Hindustan Petroleum. Because over here as well, you could see that there was a big surge in open interest. Okay. Over here, there was this big surge in open interest. And when you boil down to a day-on-day analysis, what was actually happening was that there was this open interest surge from so there was this open interest surge from this point to this point, right?
Yeah.
So basically what was happening was that there was this tug of war between the bulls and the bears. So over here, some people, they went long, but despite this decline, in this decline also people kept shorting. That's why the open interest kept rising higher. And again, when this surge happened over here, okay, again, there was this long build-up that there was seen. So basically what was happening was that within this range, there was this tug of war that was happening between the bulls and the bears. And you can see that once the previous high was broken on the upside and HPCL started sustaining above that, that's where it led to a massive short covering. Now again, what was the broader thesis? That PSU index is going to do well, right? So उसके अंदर का which are the components जहाँ पे short built up है and when and where there is a scope of an up move.
Okay, you've taken that sectoral view, as you said, the
Yes.
analysis part, and then came down to OI in the end.
And similarly, I still have this view that probably Petronet can be a very interesting bet as well. But for that, what I would actually want to see is this entire range that should get broken. Wait, Petronet. So what I would actually want to see is this range getting broken over here, because this was more like a triangular consolidation for me. Okay, this was like a triangle which broke out on the upside, and now there is a pullback seems to be happening. Now what I would want to see is a breakout from this range, and I think once this happens, there could be a stellar move that we can see, because all the shorts will then need to be covered. So what will happen is that the shorts will get covered, and then people will realize that, oh, this stock is in a medium term uptrend, and they would actually want to go long on that as well. So that will lead to basically this cycle happening, which is that stock is in this phase. So there will be a short covering that can happen, and short covering ke baad people will realize that, oh, this is an uptrend that is happening, so they will start building long position. So it could have a meaningful upside from a medium term perspective.
Okay, so what you have shown in REC was kind of like the stock is going up while the OI stayed was not going up. If you have a look, right?
Yeah, just give me a minute. I'll REC. Yeah.
Yeah, the OI seems stable while the stock has been going up. I mean, it's still at the bottom range of the.
Correct. So over here now, what my skepticism is that, since this has risen higher, is it that the strong people are actually trying to cash out? Okay. So for that, now what I am actually watching out very closely is how the stock is behaving and how the open interest is building up. But sorry, but for me, the cream move was this. Okay. Now I'm not sure if to this magnitude the up move can happen. But if you ask me very honestly, in Petronet, I might probably expect that कि ये phase में आएगा, because it is still into this sort of phase. And it is, sort of consolidating over here.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, also looked like Petronet has like waiting for some 50 on EW, but yeah, this makes sense now. Thanks.
Yeah. So over here, what I actually try and do is that I combine it with the momentum indicator as well. So you can see that in this entire consolidation, you can see that the momentum indicator has gone down, right? And now it is giving a bullish signal. So this thing is actually happening on a quarterly chart. So that way, what I try to do is that I combine the OI with the monthly, quarterly, and the weekly chart.
Yeah, got my answer, Jay. Thank you.
Thanks.
So next is Praveen Lavas. You can unmute and ask the question.
Thank you. Hi, Jay.
Hi.
Thanks for the wonderful explanation, first of all. Since you have mentioned about the PSU index, so can you please check your viewpoint on BEL, like how you see it? And second is view on Zomato. So initially it was
See,
in the
I cannot give
consolidation
you,
phase.
and Zomato is not even in the FNO. So I mean, this
Okay,
section is
okay.
purely on FNO.
Yeah, BEL will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So see, in BEL, what has happened is that now you can see that the open interest is actually around its high, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I might have to see is that, okay, where is it that people have positioned themselves? So I'll take the low point over here. I take the high point over here. Okay. So if I take the high and the low point over here, and I will have to see where. So, there has been some pullback and this has given away. Shorts are there. To see what I can actually see is that maybe people are actually trying to short the stock, because when you see over here, okay, there is some surge in open interest. Again, when you see from this top to this low, there is a surge in open interest, right? Again,
Okay.
when you see over here, so people are actually trying to short over here.
Yeah.
Now the only thing then I would have to look is that, okay, whether BEL is having that sort of sell setup on a weekly or a monthly chart, because people have been shorting the stock, right? So what I will do is that I'll go to the Rohit setup. To see on the monthly chart, at least there is no issue that I can see over here. But on the weekly chart, if you see, this has been holding above the 20-week average, ever since May 2023, right? So if this low breaks, then I will be very careful, because I would then interpret it that people who have been shorting, maybe they might be aware of something, and that's why they could be shorting the stock.
Mm-hmm.
So, your 20 week average or the lowest point, that will sort of become your cutoff point, because you can see that the RMI has, there is a negative divergence visible on the RMI, and it has given a sell crossover. So this is giving you that early hint that probably, the decline can happen. But what you would want to see is whether the 20-day breaks or no. Because when the RMI whipsaws, you have to actually see if it is breaking the averages or no. If it breaks the averages, then there can be something terrible that can happen, because even if you see in terms of setup, it can also end up looking like an HNS that could be building, provided if it breaks the low. But the other part to that is that if the high breaks on the upside, okay, then actually these people may end up covering their shorts as well, because they have been shorting left, right, and center. So basically majority of the short is done around this point and this point, right? So it is in this two phase where the shorting has happened.
Are we able to see the price like this price is breaks up then
Yeah, you can see it
short
over here. So ये जो 23 Jan है, ठीक है, 23rd Jan is over here. You can see that here you had this first bout of shorting, 9% surge, 6% surge, and so on. Then the next bit of shorting was around this highest point only from the 11th March. Basically over here. So in fact, I would actually think that many people are short over here.
Mm-hmm.
So if this low breaks, then maybe these guys will get confidence and they might want to hold on to the position. I hope that answers your question.
Yep. Yes, yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
So next is Sagar Singhani.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello. Yes, Sagar.
Sir, view on SBI card and Ramco Cement.
Yeah,
Short term view.
I cannot give view. If you have any any
They-
doubts ऐसा मतलब stock related, मतलब
Sir, based
concept
on,
related.
sir,
Because
based on rollover data, based on rollover data.
SBI
Card.
ये SBI को कार्ड्स को देख के ना ऐसा लगता है कि मतलब I mean it is like a tug of war that is happening over here. So ये वाले फेज में ना you can see कि बहुत सारा शॉर्ट बिल्टअप हुआ है, ठीक है.
Okay.
फिर क्या हुआ है कि यहाँ पे जब ये पुल बैक आया ना तो ये शॉर्ट्स अभी भी निकलने को रेडी नहीं है. ओके. और
Okay.
ये जब
Okay.
अपमूव आया तब और ऐड हुए हैं लॉन्ग्स. तो अभी क्या हो रहा है कि यहाँ पे शॉर्ट्स भी है जो, तो शॉर्ट्स ने ना एक्चुअली यहाँ से शॉर्ट्स क्रिएट करना चालू किए, ठीक है. यहाँ पे आया, फिर ये पुल बैक आया, फिर ये वापस यहाँ पर से शॉर्ट किया, फिर ये पुल बैक में तो अभी शायद बुल्स को ऐसे लग रहा है कि मे बी ये खत्म हो गया एंड दे आर ट्राइंग टू गो लॉन्ग, बट द प्राइजेस आर नॉट सस्टेनिंग ऑन द अपसाइड. तो ये सारे केसेस में ना जनरली मैंने देखा है कि अगर मतलब कोई ना कोई टाइम फ्रेम पे ना ये मूविंग एवरेज है ना ब्रेक नहीं करता रहेगा ऊपर में. जैसे कि यू कैन सी ओवर ईयर ये 20 डे ब्रेक नहीं कर रहा है, सॉरी 20 वीक ब्रेक नहीं कर रहा है. इनफैक्ट अगर आप ये डेली में आके देखोगे तो वो 40 के ऊपर टिक नहीं पा रहा है ये पूरे डिक्लाइन में. तो जब ये 40 के ऊपर टिकना चालू हो जाएगा ना
चप्पल तो पहन ले.
हाँ, तब जाके देर इज अ स्कोप के देर कैन बी अ गुड शॉर्ट कवरिंग दैट कैन बी एक्सपेक्टेड. बिकॉज जैसा आपने डेटा में देखा मतलब बहुत सारे शॉर्ट्स तो इसमें ऑलरेडी बिल्टअप है. तो ये अच्छा रिवर्सल का और अच्छा ये मतलब ये कॉन्ट्रा इंडिकेटर हो सकता है. बट व्हाट यू वुड वांट टू एक्चुअली सी इज के SBI कार्ड्स ट्रेडिंग अबाउट द एवरेजेस एंड SBI कार्ड्स एक्चुअली ब्रेकिंग आउट फ्रॉम दिस ट्रेंड लाइन एंड सस्टेनिंग अबव इट.
सर इसका पिन पॉइंट कौन सा होगा शॉर्ट बिल्डअप का मेन पिन पॉइंट?
हाँ, तो जैसा मैंने आपको बताया कि आप अगर डेटा देखोगे ना तो एक तो ये है और दूसरे जो मोमेंटम वाले हैं ना वो जो मोमेंटम वाले जो सेकेंड बाउट में जो सेलिंग किए हैं ना वो इधर से चालू हो रहा है सेलिंग. तो ये आपको थोड़ा डेटा में भी जाके देखना पड़ेगा जैसे यहाँ पे आपने देखा है. तो आप जब भी इसको ना आप एक्चुअली आप डेटा आप डाउनलोड भी करके आप देख सकते हो आपको अगर देखना हो तो, ठीक है. पर ये देखो आपको है ना एक ग्राफ से ना आपको ये पता चल जाएगा कि आपको कौन से महीने का डेटा आपको आजू बाजू देखना है, एंड देन यू कैन एनालाइज इट योरसेल्फ।
सर लेटेस्ट डेटा देखना है ना, मतलब रिसेंट डेटा।
हाँ, मतलब आपको इसी से देखना है ना कि कहाँ पे लोगों ने शॉर्ट्स अपने बनाए हैं। जैसे कि मैंने आपको बताया ना कि एक तो ये था जहाँ पे ये
ओके।
आपको दिख रहा है, ये सर्ज हुआ है,
हम्म,
फिर यहाँ से है
हम्म,
ये, इनफैक्ट। हाँ, तो ये आपको अगर आप डेटा देखोगे ना तो आपको पता चलेगा। मतलब
ओके
इसमें क्या है कि मेरे को एक एक लाइन आइटम जाके देखना पड़ेगा टू सी
ओके,
व्हाट इज
कोई
हैपनिंग।
बात।
बट मैं
और
आपको
सर,
ब्रॉडर थिंकिंग बता रहा हूँ कि आपको कैसे समझना है।
यस, आई गॉट इट सर, गॉट इट।
हाँ,
और सर राम को सीमेंट पे प्लीज।
वैसे प्रोसेस तो सेम ही है, बट ठीक है, विल लुक एट रैम को।
इन शॉर्ट दे दीजिए, कोई बात नहीं।
श्योर श्योर। रैमको में भी एक्चुअली ओपन इंटरेस्ट बिल्टअप तो हो रहा है, ये आपको दिख रहा है, ये यहाँ से एक सेकेंड ना।
शॉर्ट बिल्डअप हो रहा है।
हाँ, ये देखो, ये यहाँ से ना, यहाँ से पहले तो क्या हो गया कि ये जो पूरा रैली आया ना उसमें शॉर्ट्स कवर हुआ।
शॉर्ट कवरिंग,
हाँ,
यस।
पहले तो ये देखो, ये यहाँ से यहाँ शॉर्ट बिल्टअप हुआ, फिर यहाँ से ये राइट में शॉर्ट कवरिंग हुआ, अभी वापस शॉर्ट्स हुए हैं
ओके
इसमें। तो इसमें अगेन वी विल कम बैक टू द सेम प्रोसेस के वो डेली एवरेजेस वीकली एवरेजेस तोड़ रहा है कि नहीं, हायर हाई बना रहा है कि नहीं, एंड देन यू हैव टू सी के जो शॉर्ट वाले हैं वो अनवाइंड कर रहे हैं कि नहीं। तो अगर वो
सर।
सब,
इसमें
हाँ
इसमें मतलब शॉर्ट टर्म के लिए देखना हो तो हम इसमें डे वीकली की जगह ओवरली टाइम फ्रेम देख सकते हैं,
हाँ,
शॉर्ट
आप
टर्म
देख
व्यू।
सकते हो। तो जैसा मैंने आपको बोला कि ये जो ओपन इंटरेस्ट एनालिसिस है ना, ये आपको थोड़ा मीडियम टर्मिश व्यू देगा, समझे आप। फिर
ओके
आपके टेक्निक से आप लोअर टाइम फ्रेम पे आ सकते हो। मतलब ये देखो, ये कैसा है कि ये एक रिकनसाइल करता है आपके व्यू को, कि अगर आपको लग रहा है कि हाँ अभी रैमको सीमेंट यहाँ से घूमेगा फॉर एग्जाम्पल, ठीक है।
ओके
और बाद में अगर आप चार्ट भी देखो इसका जाके, और इसमें चार्ट
ओके
में आप देखोगे कि ये मोमेंटम इंडिकेटर्स ये सब बाय में टर्न हो रहे हैं, ठीक है, और
ओके
ये एवरेज इसके ऊपर आ रहा है कि नहीं, ये सारे जब आप एनालिसिस करोगे ना तब आपको एक फेयर अजम्पशन आ जाएगा। तो जनरली जो मैं देखता हूँ ना वो मैं आपको बताता हूँ। मैं क्या देखता हूँ कि वेदर द स्टॉक इज ट्रेडिंग अबव द 40-day एवरेज और नो, ठीक है।
ओके
अगर 40-day एवरेज के ऊपर ट्रेड हो रहा है ना, दैट इज द फर्स्ट साइन ऑफ स्ट्रेंथ। अगर वो 40-day
ओके
एवरेज पे ट्रेड हो रहा है ना, तो इसमें भी क्या होगा कि वीकली मोमेंटम है ना, बॉटम आउट होके ये बाय में आना चालू करेगा,
ओके,
समझा। तो दैट विल बी अ साइन
यस
ऑफ पिकअप ऑफ मोमेंटम। एंड उसके साथ आपको जो करना है वो आपको ब्रॉड मार्केट का व्यू लेना है कि ब्रॉड मार्केट में क्या होने वाला है, मतलब कि निफ्टी ऊपर जाने वाला है नीचे वाला। क्योंकि अगर देखो, अगर निफ्टी ऊपर जाने वाला है तो ये सारे शॉर्ट्स है वो मोस्टली कटने चाहिए। और अगर आपको वीकली मोमेंटम इंडिकेटर भी बुलिश सिग्नल दे रहा है तो वो आपको बेसिकली क्या हो रहा है कि और ज्यादा डेटा पॉइंट्स आपके फेवर में आने लग गए,
ओके,
समझे आप। तो देन
यस
यू
यस,
कैन एक्सपेक्ट अ शॉर्ट कवरिंग रैली।
ओके सर, गॉट इट। थैंक यू सर,
यस,
गुड एक्सप्लेनेशन।
थैंक यू, थैंक यू।
थैंक यू।
So next is Nirav Shah.
Hi, Joy.
हाय।
I've just joined in late, but I wanted to know how is the metal index looking from here?
या,
Because if you see, the metal index has been holding up a lot.
यस।
Tata Steel, SAIL, Hindustan Copper, GSW Steel, all the stocks are holding up really good. So, what do you think from here it can be in the
So
next 2 months?
yeah, so see, I was actually seeing the data. So what is happening over there is that open interest है ना, वो नीचे आ गया था last month, okay?
Okay.
And in this month, the open interest have surged and the prices have surged. So that means people are possibly trying to take a bet, because see, when I do steel over here, ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे SAIL आ गया, टाटा स्टील आ गया, JSW आ गया, and in each of them you can see the month on month OI surge, correct? And you can see the price change also happening positively. So इसमें से now my job is to basically try and find the best setup. ठीक है, तो उसमें व्हाट आई डू इसके अगर मैंने सेल देखा तो सेल का मैं देख रहा हूँ कि ओके यू नो प्राइसेस आर रिबाउंडिंग फ्रॉम हियर, सो you know, I would guess that if the high breaks and it sustains, then it can possibly turn out to be a good bet as well. In fact, even if you see Tata Steel would probably look more appealing to me. The reason being, iska open interest already lowest point pe aa gaya. That means
Okay.
people are neutral on this stock. Okay.
Okay.
And if the surge is happening now, you can see over here that it is actually sustaining above the highest point, right? So then मेरे को इसका डेटा में जाके देखने का है कि are people forming long positions, and if yes, then to what extent? Like see, if I see over here, यहाँ पे ये 2 दिन पे short build up हुए थे, right? And specifically 20th March. 20th March कभी है? It is this point. So these people are actually in dumps right now, right? जो यहाँ पे short किया था.
Correct.
And that's why you're seeing this short covering that is happening. But now what I would actually want to see is कि long build up कब हो रहे? Because you can see at this point short build up that has happened, right? Which is from 4th of March, which is basically somewhere, I would guess 4th of March. So it was somewhere around here that people have shorted, and they have continued to short over here as well from 11th March to 15th March over this. So then, you know, probably I would suspect that already see Tata Steel is sort of showing strength because ये जो previous high था यहाँ पे support लेके, you know, it is now again trying to come back, right?
Okay.
So once the Tata Steel crosses above the highest point, then I would think that ये जो लोगों ने short किया है ना, maybe even they might end up covering their shorts. And to further confirm, what I will actually do is that I will see how the momentum setup is happening on different time frames for Tata Steel. So see, the daily is in buy, weekly is in buy, monthly is also in buy. So in all the time frames, basically I can see that the momentum indicator is in buy, right? So then my bet probably would be कि अगर ये high को sustain कर गया ना, then there could be the shorts that can get covered, and you know, the low OI that you're seeing basically on the open interest, even that can then start surging, and because at higher levels you could see कि इसका almost कितना था ये 32 crore 100,000 lakhs crore, हाँ, तो इसका अराउंड 52-56 करोड़ का ओपन इंटरेस्ट रहता था, राइट? सो देन इतना जगह बन जाएगा ऊपर में जाने के लिए.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And one more question.
Yeah.
About the Nifty. What do you think, like in next 2 months, the Nifty can do, and also the PSU index? As I joined in late, so I was not aware of it. And also the PSU index.
So
do you see PSU index?
So see, PSU index, honestly, I had discussed mainly because I was trying to discuss a top-down approach. Okay.
Okay.
If I'm bullish on PSU index, I will try to see which are the stocks, you know, on a lower time, which are the stocks within PSU that have seen a lot of short built up, so that I can play that up move as and when I see a momentum picking up in the PSU index. Correct? I mean, that was the mindset with which I was explaining. But see, I can definitely tell you for the Nifty index, because Nifty index is in futures, PSU index is not in futures, and our webinar is, you know, fully revolved around the this one futures part. So see, in Nifty, what is happening is that especially post-COVID, okay, we are actually not seeing a big jump in the open interest like it used to happen before. So what is happening is that this has become a range for the Nifty index, and whenever it comes at the top end of the range, तो वो जो भी prevailing trend रहता है that reverses, and we see an opposite direction में move. Okay. Now, again, if it is coming towards, a higher open interest, then you will see that a pullback happening in open interest. So it is only when this range breaks on the upside and we are getting some decisive trend. So that is where, we can expect a meaningful trend in the Nifty, or else what you might end up seeing is that in between, this range only. So this is purely, I'm speaking from the OI point of view. I mean, then you can overlay your other technical studies, and that can probably help you to, get a view as to what Nifty is doing. And maybe if say it is breaking down and you see this OI range breaking on the upside, so this could be a sign that Nifty can correct, because on the OI you're seeing a breakout. So that way you will have to analyze. But until either of the things doesn't happen, whether it breaks out or breaks down, you might just see the OI hovering in that same range. So I hope it answers your question, Nirav. Shivam, you might need to unmute Nirav once.
Yeah. I have requested to unmute from here.
So, okay. So I think if he is not unmuting, I am assuming that his question would be addressed. So we
Okay.
can move on to the next question.
So next is Jayesh Patel. You can unmute.
हेलो सर।
हाय।
अच्छा, मैं काफी साल से आपको फॉलो कर रहा हूँ और रोहित सर का बहुत एडमायरर हूँ, इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है सर। मगर जस्ट एक क्वेश्चन पूछना था कि इतना सारा एनालिसिस करके, मतलब मैं लास्ट 4 मंथ से आप फॉलो कर रहा हूँ, तो देख रहा हूँ कि यू आर गोइंग हॉरिबली रॉन्ग सर इन निफ्टी एंड ऑल दैट। क्या, क्योंकि आपने सब शॉर्ट्स में ज्यादा आप थे लास्ट 4 मंथ्स में सर। तो अगर आप इतना एक्सपर्ट होके कर रहे हो, तो हम नॉन प्रोफेशनल होके कर सकते हैं ये सब एनालिसिस करके? मतलब आप भी इतने हॉरिबली रॉन्ग हुए हो लास्ट 4
नहीं
मंथ्स
नहीं
में?
नहीं, हॉरिबली रॉन्ग नहीं। अगर आप हमारे सारे पोस्ट और सारे पढ़े ना, आप आप एक प्री कंसीव नोशन से जब आप पढ़ोगे ना, तब आपको यही दिखेगा। ठीक है, आई कैन टेल यू एट ईच एंड एवरी पॉइंट व्हाट वी हैव बीन कम्युनिकेटिंग। ओके, एंड इफ वी आर एक्सपेक्टिंग दैट के मार्केट बहुत ज्यादा ऊपर नहीं जाएगा, दैट डजंट मीन दैट यू हैव टू शॉर्ट इट राइट अवे। ओके, दैट इज फर्स्ट थिंग। And if right now what I am teaching over here is basically based on the OI. Okay.
Okay.
So this particular session is basically to find out how the stocks are behaving. Okay. But what you are speaking of is of India charts. Okay. And in India charts we follow a method. अगर मेरे को इंडेक्स नहीं अच्छा लग रहा है, okay, most likely I might end up losing money in the stocks अगर वो ट्रेंड प्ले आउट नहीं होता है तो। ओके, सो दीज आर टू डिफरेंट थिंग्स। फर्स्टली यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड इट, एंड सेकेंडली टू योर पॉइंट, जो आप बोल रहे हो कि एनालिसिस देखते हैं, तो अगर आपको ये पता रहेगा कि यहाँ पे जब एबीसी डिक्लाइन हुआ था, ओके, द एफआईआईज फ्यूचर्स वर एट द हाईएस्ट पॉइंट, तो हमने ये भी बताया था कि देयर कैन बी अ स्कोप ऑफ अ पुल बैक। ठीक है, आप कभी भी आप एक चीज समझिए कि अपमूव होने वाला रहता है ना, ये सब आपको ना पहले से नहीं पता चलता है। यू फिगर आउट एज एंड व्हेन थिंग्स प्ले आउट। ओके, जस्ट फॉर एग्जांपल।
नो या आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड दैट सर। उसमें कोई मैं आपका मैं अपने अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए पूछ रहा हूँ, क्रिटिसाइज करने के लिए नहीं पूछ रहा हूँ।
नहीं, मतलब आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू एक्सप्लेन यू। ठीक है, आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू एक्सप्लेन यू द थॉट प्रोसेस। तो यहाँ पे जब ये निफ्टी जब नीचे आ गया था ना 18,800 पे, ओके, द एफआईआईज वर शॉर्ट। ओके, नाउ सी, अंडरस्टैंडिंग के वी आर इनटू दिस सॉर्ट ऑफ फेज, जहां पे फॉर एग्जांपल ओवर ईयर, 1 minute, sorry, yeah, so to understand whether we are in this sort of phase, ठीक है, जहां पे ये आएगा, पुल बैक्स आके गिरता जाएगा, और वो हमको बाद में ही पता चलता है जैसे अपमूव अनफोल्ड होते हैं। ठीक है, सो इफ यू रिमेंबर, तो ये 18800 पे ABC खत्म हुआ था. दैट वाज समथिंग दैट वी हैड स्पोकन अबाउट. ओके,
ओके
वहां से what we initially thought was just of a pullback, जहां पे 61.8% retracement was our cutoff point. Correct?
ओके ओके
जब 61.8% कट ऑफ पॉइंट निकल गया ऊपर में, देन वी स्टार्टेड थिंकिंग कि ये पूरा एंडिंग डायगोनल सॉर्ट ऑफ पैटर्न है एंड इट कैन गो पास्ट, आई मीन, एंड देयर कैन बी सम ब्रेक above the upper end of the channel, I mean upper end of the wedge. Correct? And if you see after December, market ऐसे ही किया है. ठीक है, it has been zigzagging.
ओके
Okay. And if you see in that process, okay, specifically in this part, see, when you look at Nifty now, you will be very deceived. But when you look at the market breadth, okay, this has been consistently declining.
यस यस
Okay, and it was only around this point. I don't know if you follow us for them, I mean, anymore or no. But over here, at this point, what we had spoken of was a pullback that can happen. That is because if you see the daily swing, that was in oversold zone. Correct? If you see average swing, that was in oversold zone. Okay.
यस
If you see diffusion indicator, that is percentage of stock about 20-day SMA, it was in oversold zone. So these all points we had highlighted. Okay. But see, understanding whether we are in this sort of situation or it is going to be this sort of situation जहाँ पे one way rally होगा, that needs an macro overlay.
अच्छा ओके
Okay. So that is how basically things are. I mean, would you?
नहीं सर, मैं तो आपको लाइफ टाइम के लिए फॉलो करने वाला हूँ, ऐसा नहीं है सर. और मैंने जो भी सीखा है वो सब रोहित सर से ही सीखा है. एंड अच्छा मनी भी बनाया है, ऐसा नहीं है सर. मतलब मेरा कंफ्यूजन वही था कि इतना एनालिसिस आप लोग भी करना डिफिकल्ट है, तो हम अनप्रोफेशनल लोग कैसे करेंगे, मतलब वही डाउट था.
So देखो जयेश जी, एक टाइम रहता है ना व्हेन यू आर अग्रेसिव, एक टाइम रहता है व्हेन यू आर डिफेंसिव.
Yes, 100% right, sir.
Right? So these are not the times where you would become extremely adventurous. समझे?
Okay. Okay. क्योंकि decisive नहीं है.
And see, हमारा point of action ना usually कब होता है? It is at the extremes. Okay.
Yes,
even if you would notice, what we had mentioned is कि यहाँ पे ये decline complete होके pullback आएगा. Correct?
Okay.
Now,
Yes.
This pullback is actually taking out the 61.8% retracement mark.
Yes.
So now this is where we have to be open कि ये जो हमको जो monthly में जो 5-way rise दिख रहा है, okay, तो ये जब तक हमको red bar नहीं मिलेगा ना, तब तक it can continue. And what on the weekly chart has end up forming is that this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is a running correction in 4, and this can be wave 5 that can play out. But the only point for that is कि ये high break हो जाए, क्योंकि ये high break होगा तो वो 5-way fall negate हो जाएगा.
अच्छा, तो फिर हम एग्रेसिव फिर से बाइंग साइड पे आ सकते
हैं. तो फिर हम ये साइकिल के लिए एटलीस्ट खेल सकते हैं, समझे आप? मतलब in this case what can happen is that we cannot commit money for 2 years or something, right? But we can definitely commit money for 2-3 months.
Okay, fine, sir. Yes.
Understood.
So yes, सर मैं स्ट्राइक में आपका फंडामेंटल वो सब है ना बहुत एक्सीलेंट है, क्योंकि मैं भी यूज कर रहा हूँ स्ट्राइक भी. मतलब फंडामेंटल के लिए नो डाउट सर, इट्स एक्सीलेंट टूल, क्योंकि जो आपने चार्टिकली 5 इयर्स के पीबी पीई सब चार्टिकली शो किया है वो बहुत अच्छा है और उसका बेनिफिट्स भी बहुत मिल रहा है, उसमें कोई डाउट ही नहीं है. मगर ये सब वो है कि मैं थोड़ा कंफ्यूजिंग था, तो इसलिए मैंने पूछा आपको. आप प्लीज थोड़ा बुरा मत मान लेना.
नहीं, बुरा नहीं मानो. See, the only point is that when people are commenting over there ना, क्या होता है कि you get that preconceived notion. Okay.
Yes, 100%.
But what happens is that मैं आपको ये बात ना, मैं आपको हम लोग के एक्सपीरियंस से बता रहा हूँ कि जब ये भी फेस था ना, और साइडवेज मार्केट में ना लोग है ना 80% ऑफ द टाइम पैसा गवाते ही है. ओके. क्या होता है, क्योंकि क्या होता है, मोमेंटम नीचे में मिलता नहीं है. ठीक है. ऊपर खेलने जाते हो तो स्टॉक्स चलते नहीं है.
यस यस 100% सर 100%।
तो ये भी जो सिचुएशन है ना, ये पूरा वैसा ही था। ये आपको निफ्टी को देख के लगेगा नहीं, ठीक है,
ओके
बट ये दिन पे ना जब भी करेक्शन आया था ना, आप मानोगे या नहीं मानोगे, लोग कॉल करके पूछ रहे थे अरे क्या हो गया, टॉप हो गया, खत्म हो गया, ये हो गया, वो हो गया, मतलब
यस
दैट
यस
वाज द
यस
पैनिक। एंड दैट टू वो पैनिक खाली 7% करेक्शन में आ गया।
समझ गया सर। ओके
समझे आप?
वेरी गुड या तो थोड़ा डाउट था, क्लियर हो गया सर। और मैं लाइफ टाइम के लिए इंडिया चार्ट्स के साथ हूँ और रोहित सर के साथ हूँ और आपके साथ हूँ सर। तो
नहीं,
उसमें कोई डाउट ही नहीं है सर।
बट मैं
आपको बहुत
आपको
रिस्पेक्ट करता हूँ सर।
नहीं, सो मैं आपको खाली एक ही चीज बता सकता हूँ, एंड दैट इज व्हाई इफ यू फॉलो अस, वी
यस
डोंट ट्राई टू गिव अ व्यू। आई मीन वी वुड गिव अ व्यू, बट वी वुड टेल द मेथड बिहाइंड इट, ठीक है?
यस यस 100% सर
वो
100%।
मेथड हर बार 100% चले, नो वन गारंटीज, राइट? बट
यस यस
what we would try to do is that try to come at par, मतलब कि where we are probably 60-70% of the right, and
यस सर
and when we are 60-70% टाइम राइट, वो टाइम पे हमको सबसे ज्यादा कैपिटलाइज करना है। आई मीन
यस यस
इफ यू
क्योंकि ये
नोटिस,
लॉन्ग टर्म गेम है। लॉन्ग टर्म गेम में सर आपका मेथड फॉलो करके तो पैसा ज्यादा बनता ही है, वो तो मैंने भी देख लिया है सर।
बिकॉज आपको ये भी पता रहेगा कि हमने यहाँ पर भी बॉटम बोला था, हमने यहाँ पर भी बॉटम बोला था, बेस्ड ऑन
यस सर
वेरी
यस सर
पैरामीटर।
यस सर पक्का पक्का सर बोला था आपने।
तो
और मार्च 23 में सर, मार्च 23 और दिसंबर तक तो काफी पैसा भी बनाया, ऐसा नहीं है नहीं बनाया। मगर लास्ट 2-3 मंथ्स में ही थोड़ा लूज किया है। मतलब वो भी मुझे भी अब अंडरस्टैंड हो रहा है कि ये करेक्शन प्ले करने में कोई स्मार्टनेस है ही नहीं सर। उसको छोड़ देना चाहिए, जब भी ट्रेंड मिले फिर से एंट्री करना चाहिए।
क्योंकि मैं आपको बताता हूँ, ये रिटेल का साइकी क्या रहता है कि अगर इन्होंने मतलब पैसे बना लिए ना, तो
हाँ
प्रोटेक्ट करने नहीं होता है, उनको हर दिन चाहिए, समझे?
100% राइट 100% राइट
मतलब
सर।
एक दिन आपने देखा कि ये स्टॉक 10% चल रहा है, तो आपको लगे अरे मेरे पास ये क्यों स्टॉक नहीं है, एंड यू विल
पक्का
स्टार्ट
बात
फीलिंग
है,
दैट फ्रस्ट्रेशन।
पक्का बात है सर, सही बात है। नहीं मगर हम आपके साथ रह रहे, कब मैच्योर हो रहे हैं थोड़ा मार्केट में। मतलब
नहीं,
पहले
हमारी
ये
भी
थोड़ी
सी
insecurity थी।
हमारी भी यही कोशिश है ना कि वी ट्राई टू डू आवर एनालिसिस बेस्ड ऑन द डेटा, ठीक है?
यस यस
मतलब
पक्की।
देर इज डेफिनेटली सम मैक्रो व्यू पॉइंट दैट इज इन्वॉल्व, ओके, दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ इन्फ्लुएंस आवर डिसीजन मेकिंग।
यस 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 पक्की
बट
बात है सर।
हाँ, बट हम WWIC में भी ये मेक श्योर करते हैं कि हम सारे डेटा पॉइंट्स भी बताएं कि ये क्यों हमको ऐसा लग रहा है। इट इज नॉट दैट कि बस ऐसा लग रहा है, मतलब इट इज
नहीं
बेस्ड
नहीं,
ऑन द डेटा पॉइंट्स।
एक बात तो कंफर्म है सर, आपकी और रोहित सर की सब मेहनत है। मतलब यू आर वेल विशर्स फॉर द सब्सक्राइबर्स, नॉट वो आपका गलत मेथड कभी नहीं रहता। सही हो गलत हो एक अलग बात होगी, वो तो मार्केट किसी को भी रॉन्ग कर सकता है, ऐसा नहीं है। मगर आपका इंटरनल जो व्यू है वो बहुत अच्छा रहता है। मतलब ऐसा नहीं है, मतलब मैं भी
क्योंकि
वो अंडरस्टैंड कर सकता हूँ।
मैं आपको और आप तो रोहित सर को अब इतने टाइम से फॉलो करते हो, तो आप जानते रहोगे, अगर हमारा व्यू रॉन्ग जाता है ना, तो हमें खुद को भी पैसा लगता है। अब वो बात समझिए, क्योंकि हम लोग ऐसा नहीं कर सकते ना कि हम लोग व्यू बताएंगे बुलिश बट हम शॉर्ट मारते जाएंगे, ऐसा नहीं होता है। तो समवेयर इवन वी हैव टू बकल अप एंड वी हैव टू बी राइट इफ वी वांट टू मेक मनी।
नहीं नहीं पक्की बात है सर, वो तो है सर। थैंक यू सर, और गॉड ब्लेस यू सर। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू, थैंक यू, या शिवम।
Yeah, so there are a few pending questions. We need to wrap up quickly.
या
Next
श्योर,
is Kapil.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for taking this informative session.
या
See, I have one small question. As
ओके,
we have learned in previous strike related sessions, that a 50% or 20% OI, when there's a short covering that happens in calls, like it's a good opinion that you can look to add a stock for a
right,
long position, right?
right, right.
Let's suppose let's take that percentage to 50%. Let's suppose, right? 50% short covering is happening in calls. Okay, now that is even more good enough situation to go on a long for the stock. But what about that other 50% which are still lying in that OI? Maybe those are the people who have shorted at a much higher level. Let's suppose, the stock is trading at 6,000 and they have shorted the stock at, at 100 rupees premium. So their losses will start incurring when the stock goes past 6,100, right? In the short position, right? When they have taken the calls. So is there a way that we can see in strike which helps us understand that what is the value or volume weighted average price for that particular strike? So, we are actually sure that whatever stock we are entering right now for a long position, I'm just entering a cash position, not any futures or options. I'm just taking simple positions that we are taking in cash, right, on a stock on which we are seeing there is a maximum OI. Even there is a 50% short covering that is happening in calls, we see there is a 50% OI still there. But those people are smart people. They have shorted at much higher level, and their losses will only incur when the stock goes past 6,100 rupees. And we enter the position saying, अरे ये तो 50% short cover हो गया है, हम इसमें बैठ जाते हैं. बट वो ऊपर से धोखा दे देता है फिर.
नहीं
तो
नहीं
ऐसा
नहीं सो
ऐसा
हाँ
कोई पोजीशन है कि जिसे हम स्ट्राइक में देख पाए कि इज वॉल्यूम वेटेड एवरेज प्राइस फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर स्ट्राइक व्हिच टेल्स अस दैट वी नीड टू बी कॉशियस इवन एट 6100.
So yes, you have that thing in your option chain as well. I mean, आप मान लो कि अगर 22 का स्ट्राइक है, ठीक है, ओके, तो इसका वॉल्यूम वेटेड क्या है? दिस इज ऑलरेडी देयर ओवर देयर. आई मीन यू टेक इट फॉर एनी स्टॉक एज वेल. सो आपको वॉल्यूम वेटेड तो आपको पता चल ही जाएगा.
ओके, बट इट वोंट वुड इट टेल दैट इसमें शॉर्ट कवरिंग हो रही है कि नहीं? अगर इसमें शॉर्ट कवरिंग नहीं हो रही देन
So
बट
that
वहां पे
already your OI is telling you ना कि अगर
but let's suppose stock goes to, let's suppose, 650 or 640, 6040, or 6040, yes, 6040, and there is a short covering that is happening in that and that level, and there are weak positions that are coming out, but there's still the positions that are being not winding up, which are which whose losses will start incurring at 6100. So will we be able to see that here as well? Because we have already seen that in OI strike insights that there is a 50% short covering happened as the stock has got to 6050. We see a short covering happen at 50%. There is a short covering, and we see, okay, ये तो 50% हो गया है, and we can at least consider this stock to move up in the near term. बट हम जैसे ही उस स्टॉक में बैठते हैं 60 पे एंट्री लेते हैं 6060 पे, बट 40 रुपए ऊपर वहां पे लोग और बैठे हुए हैं, तो वो हमें कैसे पता चलेगा? बिकॉज यहाँ पे तो आपको
see that's where your if you remember मोहित जी ने ये बॉलिंजर बैंड वाला सेटअप बताया था, राइट?
हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
तो उसमें क्या होता है, व्हेन योर बॉलिंजर बैंड इज नैरो, मतलब तो वो तो साइडवेज हो गया था स्टॉक, बराबर. अगर प्रायर ट्रेंड ऊपर है एंड देयर इज अ कंसोलिडेशन, देन ऑन द ब्रेकआउट द स्टॉक विल ट्रेंड हायर, राइट, एज पर द सिंपल टेक्निकल्स, करेक्ट? तो अगर वो आप जो 6040 जो भी बोल रहे हो वहां पे, इफ यू आर सीइंग दोस बॉलिंजर बैंड्स एक्सपैंडिंग, or you are seeing RMI turning bullish or so on, there is a good chance that the momentum can pick up. Because see, there is no single method that can tell you, because every time cases will be different, right? So you will have to take that judgment. See, strike हुआ insights ना आपको वो screeners में screen करके दे देता है stock, okay? Ultimately you have to overlay your methodology to it. Okay, so it can be based on anything: OI, RMI, Dow trend, technical, volatility skew. It could be based on anything. So that is something that you can figure out. Like Mohit ji said that he sees if RMI is turning bullish or no, if bands are expanding or no. That is his criteria. Okay, I try to trade more positionally. Okay, so what I try to see is that मैं strike हुआ insights में I might look at it from an entry perspective. If I am looking more from a medium term perspective, right? अगर मुझे trading करना है for very short term, strike हुआ insights will be of great help to me to know कि कहाँ पे highest call addition है, put addition है, and so on, right? So that is how it can be. Like अभी जैसे कि मैंने आपको ये इन्फोसिस वगैरह का एग्जाम्पल बताया, ठीक है, कि यहाँ पे ओपन इंटरेस्ट एकदम लोएस्ट है. Now if you see the medium term trends that are going to play on the downside, for example, then all you would want to do is कि जब भी वो रेजिस्टेंस पे आता है एंड आपका टेक्निकल सेटअप आपको बोलता है कि यहाँ पे शॉर्ट करना चाहिए, you go ahead and short it.
Okay, all right.
So it ideally should be combinations of method, because there can be no one method that can be you can say table thumb करके ये ऐसे ही होगा.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So next is Mr. Atul Bhatia.
Fine. So we'll take one more question of Mohit and then we'll wind up the session. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
hi, Jay. Thank you for the session.
Thank you.
I have a quick query. I just wanted to know how would you evaluate a stock which is perpetually, going in and out of ban, for example, Hind Copper. So because, there will not be much movement in the OI, but there will always be movement in price. And that also is like, very swift and quick movement. So how would you go about that? Thank you.
So see, I mean, whether it is in ban or not ban, I mean, that wouldn't be a criteria to consider. The only thing is that is it matching with the studies that what I am seeing? Okay. Say for example, now you're saying, now your point is right कि ये बार बार ban में आता है, जाता है and so on, right? But see, if there is an OI surge that has happened, ठीक है, and see, let me put it this way कि अगर OI सर्ज हो रहा है तो कोई तो डायरेक्शन में पोजीशन विल बी देयर, करेक्ट? कोई तो डायरेक्शन में पोजीशन होगा तो कोई तो लूजिंग एंड पे होगा, राइट? तो व्हाट विल एंड अप हैपनिंग इज अ शॉर्ट कवरिंग दैट यू कैन सी. आई मीन अगर इसका एलिवेटेड है OI, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल ओवर ईयर, ओके, if it is elevated over here, then you have to understand कि ये स्टॉक का बिहेवियर क्या है. I mean, is it long, short, or what is happening? Okay, once you feel कि ये इसमें शॉर्ट बिल्टअप हुए है, then you have to understand कि क्या मैं इसको ट्रेंड के डायरेक्शन में ट्रेड करूं या इसमें मुझे कॉन्ट्रा बेट लेना चाहिए based on the patterns it is forming, and that is how directionally you have to take a trade. Now to your point के अगर मान लो कि वो ओपन इंटरेस्ट एकदम हाईएस्ट पॉइंट पे है, वो टाइम पे ही वो बैन में आ जाता है और वो क्या करे, तो आई मीन देयर इज नथिंग दैट वी कैन डू.
Like for now, it looks like it is in neutral zone. It is going to neutral zone in
Correct.
short term, right?
करेक्ट. वो ये पूरा ऐसा रेंज में फंस गया है अभी. So now wherever the range breakout happens, you need to see कि OI बढ़ रहा है या घट रहा है. ओके, घट रहा है तो देर विल बी अ केस कि पीपल कवरिंग कर रहे हैं, तो कवरिंग कर रहे हैं तो यू विल हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि कहाँ पे लोगों ने लॉन्ग बना के रखे हैं, मतलब विच पॉइंट पे उन लोग ने लॉन्ग बना के रखे. सो दोज ऑल एनालिसिस दैट यू विल नीड टू डू.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Mohit Arya.
Yeah. So last question, Mohit.
When I draw on the charts and I take it away, reload my chart, then the drawings get faded. They are not shown.
Yeah, Mohit. So actually what is happening is that ये जो भी customized screen है ना, मतलब which is OI indicator or scanners and so on, वहाँ पे right now trading view is actually not allowing us to save. Okay, so we are trying to figure this out. But आप जो यहाँ पे अगर आपने कोई भी ड्राइंग या स्टडीज किया, ये आपका सेव हो सकता है. मतलब ये यहाँ पे अगर आप सेव करोगे ना, यहाँ पे मान लो कि आपने बजाज 300 कर दिया. ओके, एक सेकेंड ना, ये यहाँ पे मैंने ये ट्रेंड लाइन करके मैंने बजाज 300 में मैंने सेव कर दिया,
हो गया सेव,
राइट? अब मैं अगर मैं दूसरा भी उसकी मेन स्क्रीन पे भी जाता हूँ, ठीक है, एंड यहाँ पे अभी आप ये करोगे तो ये ऑटोमेटिकली दिख जाएगा. तो जो डैशबोर्ड में है ना, डैशबोर्ड में सेव हो रहे हैं जो ये जो हमारे जो कस्टमाइज स्क्रीन्स है ना, मतलब जैसे फ्यूचर OI और ये सारे, वहाँ पे ट्रेडिंग व्यू फिलहाल अलाउ नहीं कर रहा है. सो आई मीन वी आर ट्राइंग टू फिगर आउट.
After drawing also, when I change the time interval, it is not changing.
नहीं.
sorry, can you repeat?
Interval also does not change sometimes.
In which case you are telling? Because see, I have drawn
if you remove this save chart and draw a line on another chart, change the time interval, it will not change.
So see, I am removing this stock. Okay, I'm taking some other stock.
Yeah.
Okay. अभी इसको मैं ये कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है, एंड आई एम सेविंग इट नया
नहीं जय, बस हो गया सेव, करने की जरूरत नहीं अलग से।
अच्छा
हाँ
change the interval, it will not.
It's taking.
On my screen it is not doing. चलो एक बार चेक कर लेंगे।
या
प्लीज एक अशोक लीलैंड पे और भी भाई
व्यू नहीं दे सकते, what we can definitely help you is with the process.
हाँ या
So fine, we'll yeah, so अशोक लेलैंड में एक्चुअली क्या हुआ है कि ये ओपन इंटरेस्ट हैज बीन वेरी हाई, ओके, ओवर ईयर. So and if you see, actually it is at the highest point over here, right? So now you have to understand कि यहाँ पे ना देखो बेसिकली क्या हुआ है कि as the prices rose higher, so main activity है ना ये पूरे इसमें हुआ है, करेक्ट? क्योंकि यहाँ पर आपको ये ओपन इंटरेस्ट सर्च दिख रहा है, तो आपको ये ना डेटा में जाके यू विल हैव टू सर्च कि कहाँ पे पीपल हैव गॉन लॉन्ग गॉन शॉर्ट. बिकॉज अभी क्या है कि ये मैं लाइन चार्ट देखता हूँ ना, आई कैन गिव यू अ ब्रॉडर ट्रेंड. ओके,
व्हेन आई लुक एट द मंथली चार्ट्स,
हाँ,
it is almost highest open interest.
correct. So that is what now you have to मतलब based on the data you will have to understand कि ये जो पूरा जो ओपन इंटरेस्ट सर्ज हुआ है तो वहां पे लोग लॉन्ग है या शॉर्ट है, मतलब वो आपको यहाँ से पता चलेगा वो डेटा ढूंढ के. तो अगर सपोज लॉन्ग है फॉर एग्जांपल, ठीक है, तो देन दिस इज सॉर्ट ऑफ अ रेंज which Ashok Leyland is expected to trade in, correct? अगर वो रेंज नीचे में टूट के और वाई बिल्टअप होना चालू होता है, देन योर अर्लियर अजम्पशन के लॉन्ग है ये स्टॉक में, दे विल एक्चुअली स्टार्ट अनवाइंडिंग देयर पोजीशन. समझे आप? सो मतलब ये बिकॉज ये थोड़ा खिचड़ी है ना, तो आपको यहाँ पे ना क्लोजली डेटा देखना पड़ेगा कि जैसे कि अभी सपोज ये 5th, नाउ व्हाइल आई एम चेकिंग दिस डेटा, तो ये एक 5th फेब था जहाँ पे 10% वाई सर्ज हुआ था. तो 5th फेब कहाँ पर है? सो 5th फेब इज समवेयर ओवर हियर, ठीक है. नाउ दिस इज एक्चुअली लूजिंग मनी राइट ओवर हियर. तो ऐसे ही आपको ये फिगर आउट करना पड़ेगा कि कौन से ऐसे पॉइंट्स पे ओपन इंटरेस्ट सर्ज हुए हैं, उससे आपको अंदाजा लगाना पड़ेगा कि लोग लॉन्ग में है या शॉर्ट में है ज्यादा करके.
If you go into the data, पीछे 2018 में it was 167 rupees. And then it went up and then it is coming down. It is trying to retest or it will.
करेक्ट. सो हाँ, सो टेक्निकली ना ये एक बड़ा बैरियर है, मतलब आई मीन लाइक यू सेड कि ये ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि ये ब्रेकआउट और करके रिटेस्ट हो रहा है. सो दैट्स वेयर यू विल नीड अ रेंज टू बी ब्रोकन ऑन ईदर साइड टू गिव यू दैट क्लू.
How do I trade this? Do I take on supports or do I?
तो सर दैट इज व्हाट आई सेड दैट आई मीन बिकॉज ये खिचड़ी है ना, मेरे को खुद को भी डेटा देखना पड़ेगा. मतलब आई कैन नॉट गिव यू इन अ मिनट के ये क्या हो सकता है. आई विल हैव टू गो एंड डिग डीपर के कहाँ पे शॉर्ट बिल्टअप्स हुए हैं. मतलब ये सब जो ओआई स्पाइक्स जो भी आ रहे हैं ये शॉर्ट्स के वजह से हुए हैं या लॉन्ग के वजह से हुए हैं. अगर लॉन्ग के वजह से हुए हैं तो क्या रेट पे हुए हैं वो मुझे डेटा देख के ही मुझे समझे.
Then do you have a group where we can share our findings?
So far we don't have it.
Okay.
We are planning that, so very shortly we'll be creating a group for all the Strike users, all subscribers of Strike.
Okay.
Yeah, as of now we don't have, but
What I'm asking is, do I have to take it on breakout?
so sir, again my question is that only कि ये मैं डेटा देखने के बगैर मैं नहीं बता सकता हूँ. मतलब what I can technically see is that कि ये ब्रेक होके ऊपर में कंसोलिडेट हो रहा है, ठीक है. Now whether this is an accumulation or distribution और ये हायर ओपन इंटरेस्ट क्यों हुआ है, ये मेरे को डेटा से मुझे पता लगाना पड़ेगा. मतलब ये मुझे एक लुक में मुझे नहीं समझ रहा है क्योंकि बहुत खिचड़ी है. So I might actually have to download the data and see कि किधर क्या हुआ था and highlight those portions.
So please share it with me. I also want to know.
So sir, like I told you, I mean we cannot provide recommendation or so.
I'm not asking you for recommendation, but how to use it for my.
So sir, so this is what I told you, right? कि यहाँ पे जैसा you can see over here, like I told you. I mean ये यहाँ पे long built up किधर तो हुआ था, right? जहाँ पे 10%.
Too many time frames which you trade in, monthly, weekly, daily. How to analyze all these things together?
See, it is based on your time frame, if whether you are looking from a medium term perspective or from a short term perspective. If you are
When I am looking at the charts from 2018 to now, that means I'm looking for longer time frame.
so then that means you will have to look at it on a higher time frame, like weekly and monthly. What is happening?
What I was asking for monthly time frame. How do I go into the trade with that?
So now again, I mean, I would repeat the same thing. You will have to go to the technicals. Okay. I mean, this is what I do, not necessarily that may match your style.
That is what I am asking you. That 2018 it broke out, and then now it is retesting. Is it a time to enter or not? That is what I am asking. How will the
So, sir, I cannot tell you what I mean. I might have a different style, you might have a different style, but like I told you, this looks like a consolidation. You will have, I mean, if you are bullish, you might want to do your position sizing. कि अभी थोड़ा लो, breakout पे और लो. I mean, it totally depends on the trading style, ना. If you are an aggressive investor, you will tell कि अभी इधर positive weekly close आ गया तो मैं इधर से ही ले लूँ ये लो का stop loss रख के.
when you are analyzing the monthly data in open interest and it is at the highest, what do you suggest in that?
Sir, I am again telling you the same thing. I am not looking at the data in the first go. I am not able to understand whether it is a short built up or a long built up.
Okay.
So once I know that, and once I know what is the pain point, maybe, you know, that's where it might be, I mean, I'll be able to understand कि वो stock में क्या behavior हो रहा है.
Chalo, sir, maybe discuss in the other webinar.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
So we'll wrap up for the day, Jay. So
Yeah.
I've posted the YouTube as well as Telegram links in the chat box. I request everyone to please join those handles for further updates, and we'll also be posting the recording of today's webinar. So thank you very much, all of you, for joining. We're looking forward to next webinars. Jay, if you want to have any ending statement.
No, yeah. So thanks a lot for all your time. I mean, you can follow us on Twitter, on YouTube, and so on. We do keep, you know, regularly doing the webinars. So that's how, you know, it can help you to understand Strike tool better. And for any queries that you'll have, you know, y'all can raise the ticket and, you know, y'all can get it clarified. So yes, thanks a lot for all your support. We look forward to be associated with you all in future. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.